Hello there everybody, welcome back to the NLC Div 1 Promotion Tournament where 42 Gaming just took down BlueWhites in a decisive sub 30 minute game. Now, unfortunately Carvis, that game was so quick that a lot of people on the stream weren't able to catch a load of it, but back and forth I would say in the early game, and then 42 really starting to get a bit more of a hold of the game as it got later.
Yeah, the game started out really well for BlueWhites, where they got first blood off of a, well, probably scouted level 1 start from 42, where they went for a 5-point, they caught out the Pike of Rexit, and Volux started the game out with the first blood. MKR and Eggets caught Chrissy out and Rexit out a couple of times. They started out really well, but then the game started to slow down a little bit. Level 6 were hit, first item power spikes were hit, and 42's composition started to play their game.
Yeah, there was a big fight in the bottom red side jungle, which 42 Gaming were able to get a lot out of. Balmy for exiting that fight 2-0 and 2, securing a 9-minute heartsteal on the Skarner. And that's really where the snowballs started to build for 42, as they just started taking fight after fight after fight, and BlueWhites, they weren't really able to punch back as strongly as they would have liked.
Yeah, and I think we have a section of the game that we want to show to you guys where the game really started to snowball out of control, where 42 were establishing control around the mid lane area. They've already secured Herald at this point, and it's only one mistake that's needed. MKR goes deep to try and pick out Rexit, dies, and this is the sign for 42 to go. They instantly pop the Herald, and without the AD carry and Pommel on low HP, they struggle to defend against this. 42 still has most of their cooldowns. Bommy goes in, catches out another kill, and they get full map control. All of the cooldowns from BlueWhites and 2 towers. Just really, really nicely executed. Aggressive play from here on out from 42.
It's that always going forward mentality that the composition was sort of drafted towards, and the playstyle that really fit into it. I'm not going to lie, I feel like that was a little bit of a shock to the system here for BlueWhites, because I certainly didn't expect 42 to come in looking this hot, to be looking this coordinated, and their ability to just make play after play after play was very, very impressive.
Yeah, and I think the main thing where this game went out of hand for BlueWhites is when they realized that the Vi is not really getting anything done. If the Vi ever engages, you're forcing the rest of the team to approach this composition that 42 has drafted. You don't want to do that. You're approaching a Skarner with a Heartsteal. You're gonna get stunned, you're gonna get locked down, and Chrissy's gonna just be throwing bombs in the back line, and they don't really have any way to reach the Ziggs other than a Kai'Sa Killer Instinct off of a flank CC hit. And when it comes to this game 2, there are 2 questions that need to be answered. Will 42 stick to this game plan? And has BlueWhites brought anything else to the table than this regular old front to back?
Okay, we'll keep a track of those 2 questions as we will be entering the draft, hopefully very, very shortly. But yeah, a rough game there for BlueWhites. I think Pomo in particular is not going to be happy with how a lot of things ended out, and I do want to be giving full credit over here to 42 Gaming. I think their ability to get that Pike out of the bot lane super duper early, and Chrissy not really feeling too pressurized was excellent. I think we saw quite a few times where there were random 3v1s occurring top lane where Veloxa certainly didn't anticipate the amount of attention that he'd be getting, and he was punished for that.
Yeah, I think team coordination is the key to the way 42 plays. They are super good at map protections. Like, just catching people off guard, knowing who to put on which lane assignment, and how to shadow and punish the people who are overextended on the map is the way that this team likes to play the game, and the champion picks kind of reflect that playstyle. They play Ryze, they play Aurora, they play Gragas, they play a lot of characters that either reposition or position the enemies or themselves into bad places. And again, I'm looking to BlueWhites to establish lane advantage. I'm looking for the strong early game that they've showcased before. And this wouldn't be the first time that Bommel has gone 0 and 10 in game 1 and then brought it back afterwards. I remember the Tristana still. I remember the Tristana.
Oh, absolutely excellent. And I think that maybe not Bommo, one of the AD carry players as mid lane has become in this meta. I think giving MKR a few resources, because yes, we saw a mistake from him in that replay, but so many times he was just willing to go that little bit further forward when the Ziggs was trying to assert himself in the lane. He'd be willing to fire back, dodging out on those spells and dealing a load of damage. I think if he'd been more enabled in terms of his carry potential with a few more kills, a little bit more gold, more items, then BlueWhites definitely have a little bit more of a chance in this game. It was just a situation where the game was sort of accelerated away from him and he wasn't really able to offer that much, despite the fact that he only really put a foot one wrongs.
Now, the only problem that MKR has to deal with starts with the C and ends with Chrissy. Well, that's an extra C in there.
Chrissy.
I'm finished.
We've already got JJ. We can't have Chrissy. Like, there's too much going on there, bro.
Can I just speak Finnish from now on? It's what it is. This is gonna be an FPL cast. So what I'm trying to get to here is that as long as the Ziggs is there, MKR could get negated out of the game. Chris is just there's a reason why he was one of the players that got the most MVP votes in the NLC 2 season. Did he even win? He might have even won. Can't remember off the top of my head.
I think he did.
Anyway, this
generally
man,
the player that gets the most votes does win. So
true. Anyway, he's good.
Lordy,
okay,
lordy.
he's good at the video
Yeah.
game, and as long as Chrissy is able to negate the lane, MKR may not get the resource that he needs, and they really need Jones down there, where the Bai wasn't really able to do anything. Balmy just completely took control of the game, and you didn't see the Bai almost at all in those ever so critical jungle gank fights on the objective or on the sidelines. And just give Jones something to work with here.
yeah, and I think we saw the Zyra ban coming out in game 1 for 42, but we've got BlueWhites on the red side again, so I'm not really expecting that to change, because honestly I think the strategy that 42 put out was working. But yeah, give Jonas something that can actually carry it a little bit, maybe pull out one of his pocket picks like that Lee Sin. It's not really seeing all that much play, but very, very clearly a skilled player, but didn't feel enabled this game as much. So we'll have to see what changes occur, and perhaps more importantly, what ends up staying the same as we are jumping into Champions Select for the second time this evening.
And BlueWhite staying on red, so they do value the counter pick and possibly even getting 2 priority picks. It's been argued quite a bit recently whether it's better to first pick Ziggs and be happy with it, or take 2 very powerful picks that you can just kind of flex between lanes with. 42 seems to have a game plan. They're just banning out all the supportive style picks that are able to peel away and just kind of kite backwards. And if BlueWhites doesn't have anything to respond with, I think they're going to go with a similar playstyle where they just go super aggressive and look to overwhelm BlueWhites.
Yeah, and once again, class, as we saw in game 1, that is not a misban here on BlueWhite. It is the Aurora being taken off the board. 42 sticking the same. The Zyra banned out to complete the trifecta of champions that were removed before that first game, which they dominated also heavily. BlueWhites, though, they get rid of the Varus, a long-range ADC, and they get rid of that Ziggs. So Chrissy going to have to go for something with a little bit less safety down in the bottom lane.
There's still things like the Jhin that work very well as a supporter style AD carry. Even the Ashe could be brought out here. There's also things like Misfortune and the Smolder that has been left open. A big, big flex pick. And if I know 42, usually we say between 2 lanes. In this case, it might be 3, with Virtuoso being able to pilot it.
I love that top lane has just become this, yeah, just do whatever you want. As long as it wins the game, it doesn't really matter too much, lane. And BlueWhites rotating through a few of those champions that we would normally associate with Chrissy, but it is going to be MKR picking up the Jhin.
Oh.
And this potentially sets up for a little bit more damage coming out of the top side of Summoner's Rift. Yone's hovering that Lilia. This would be a wonderful pick alongside the Jhin.
Yeah, kind of telling the team, let me put my carry pants on. The one thing I'm worried about, though, if they lock in this Lilia here, is what's preventing 42 from picking a hyper carry and Milio?
Misa! Absolutely nothing at all.
This is also a viable response. Jarvan into 2 immobile characters, Cataclysm forcing out summoners time and time again. This is also one of Balmeef's most played characters. Yeah, they're gonna go aggressive again. We're not gonna have a slow game.
Of course. And I think specifically against the Jhin and the Lilia, very, very good. Right, obviously Jhin, notorious as an AD carry that's got a lot of movement speed, but no dash is nothing to get out of that Cataclysm. And whilst the Lilia does have a dash on a W, it can't go over walls. So another one of those champions that can get locked in. And we're seeing a little bit of a switch in styles here. This time it's going to be Chrissy piloting the Kai'Sa, or I'd assume it's going to be Chrissy piloting the Kai'Sa, and that's going to be Smolder going into the mid lane.
Rakan. Interesting pairing with the Jhin. So I'm expecting Volxa back on tank duty, seeing this pick.
Yeah. So this pairing is actually something that I believe that 42 Gaming played in their previous series, and I guess the thought behind it is Rakan CC is pretty easy to land. Jinx is a little bit more difficult. If you knock someone up with the grand entrance on Rakan, that is a very, very easily deadly flourish, and you can just follow that up with the shots from the ult. So a little bit of a combo there, but another situation where the bot lane isn't really going to be providing too much damage, and we are looking to set up for other parts of the map.
The Respect Pike ban also taking away the Leona.
Oh, and the Leona, yeah.
Something that 42, if they have been practicing it and they want to cook a little bit, they could lock in Lissandra here. I don't hate it. It can keep the Lilia in place with the ult and just work her stuff in lane against the Rakan. It provides plasma for Kai'Sa to play with. It's certainly a possibility if Rexit plays it.
Yeah, and I think I do like seeing these weird and wonderful support picks come out, and I think Lissandra has always been one of those champions that I've looked at the kit and gone, why are we not playing this as support? Potentially could come out here.
Whoa!
BlueWhites going to be locking in the Aatrox here for Veloxa in the top lane. We don't know who he's going to be going up against, and that leaves mid lane counter pick available for Pomo.
I think the Aatrox is there to make sure that this dragon does not go up on the top side of the map.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that the Smolder doesn't get a free lane. And Kennen would be something that I like paired up with the Cataclysm. Only problem that 42 is lacking is front line. The Jarvan, while he gets in easily, does not survive for very long.
Yeah. But, I mean, Carvis, if the enemy team doesn't survive as long as the Jarvan, then really are we complaining all that much? And 42 Gaming really sticking it to their guns. We've got a completely unique roster of champions. Nothing shared with what they drafted in Game 1, but the plan is exactly the same. Go in, and then go in a little bit more.
It feels like in Game 1, everyone wanted to be in each other's faces. Now we're social distancing. Everyone wants to be they're reaching out with a 10-foot pole. Stay this distance away from me. Let me smack you from here. Just a very, very weird draft altogether from both teams.
Is that the Finnish policy towards social distancing? Is just people walking around with sticks hitting each other?
No, you haven't seen a Finnish bus stop, man. The way that the way Finnish bus
hold
stops...
on. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go over here, bro. I don't want to stand anywhere near you, bro.
That's exactly how they work.
It's just like, no. I've seen, it's wonderful. Like, people have taken pictures from like their flat space of them online. Genuinely, like a football field of distance between people.
That's how it actually works. And the draft works in a very similar way. Neither team wants to be anywhere near the others. And if anyone reaches anyone else, they're most likely to run away as fast as they can. Then there's Jarvan.
Yeah.
The Jarvan is kind of just there.
I will say though, I think 42, like, you got the killing as well. There's team fight potential there, but absolutely, if you're BlueWhites, I think if anyone gets within sort of 600 range of you, you're probably going to end up dying, because whilst the Ezreal has a hell of a lot more safety, still an AD carry, still going to be very squishy, and in terms of pure tanks, we have no pure tanks.
It's up to the Aatrox to... it's going to be a hard game to snowball in, but it's again one of these situations where if the Aatrox gets a flank onto, say, a Smolder in a team fight, that dragon is going to get smacked off the mountain quite fast. It's not going to survive. And the amount of peeling tools on 42's side of things, again, is quite scarce, let's say. They are, again, hard committing into going in, team fighting, an explosive fight, and expending their resources in one big go, trying to secure as many kills as they can during it. This time, it may be a little bit more difficult, though.
Yeah, so what are we really seeing here? I guess for BlueWhites, the adaptation that we need to see in terms of gameplay from game one. We've got Yones here on the Lilia, a little bit more of a carry threat as both teams are hitting at the wrist. Once again, MKR forgetting to buy items. Not the most auspicious to game two for BlueWhites, but they'll be hoping that they can claw back a win and tie up the series.
30 seconds until
Yes. Overall, I think this is going to be a lot more defensive. JJ rocking the grasp of the Undying. So that is interesting, considering you're facing off against an Ezreal. May not be able
I'm
to
loving this level 1 from 42 though. Veloxa walking towards his tower. I think if he'd gone in that Tribush, he would have been dead. Doesn't know that, but creative pathing there from Rexat. Not going to be able to get 42 Gaming all that much, and BlueWhites actually posting up with a little bit of a late invade to catch out potentially Balmy as he walks into his bottom side jungle.
They're gonna see Pommel and Jones walking out, but they catch Balmy.
Yeah, there he goes, knocked up into the air and put to dirt. Another early first blood here for Blue. They're going to be hoping that it goes better than game one.
And again, BlueWhites doing very well on these level 1 early plays. This time the kill going over the Jones is going to speed up the jungle a ton. And not only that, they may be able to split the map to the defensive Aatrox's. Bommy can't do much there, especially with no flash. Bommo going aggressive as is the bot lane.
Yeah, and both mid lane is falling down too, around about 30-40% HP, and I think Balmy being slowed down is very, very key on this Jarvan. You want to be active on the map as soon as possible, but he doesn't clear his camps all that quickly, so forcing him back, he has to go back. He's only just now taken away his own blue buff, where Jones is finishing up the Krugs on the bottom side.
They could even go for a dive if they enough chunked down from Chrissy and Rex and mid lane trading as well. Just going hard on the aggression, trying to establish any sort of advantage in this early game as they can. And this is the thing. Look at Jarvan's clear. He's so slow compared to the Lilia, and with an Amplum and Dark Seal on Jones's inventory, he's gonna jungle clear like a speed demon from here on out.
We are seeing Balmy start to path his way towards the top side, so recognizing that all of his bottom side camps are gone, Fox is going to need to be very careful. If this gank doesn't work for Balmy, he's going to be very far behind, but looks promising thus far. The stun trained into the knockup, and the Aatrox, he's healing a little bit. He's trying to turn around, not quite able, as Pomo gets a solo kill in the mid lane.
The grasp not working out for JJ. Doesn't have the all-in potential that the Presti attack provides on the Ezreal. But again, Bommy getting the things done that he needs to. He's already behind.
Ooh, as Egas is going forward and Chrissy having to back away. Once again, in the early levels, we are seeing BlueWhites bot lane apply just a little bit more pressure.
Everyone's applying a ton of pressure except for Veloxa. This is just the tried and true BlueWhites early game where they try to kind of hand check the opponent. And with Yo's already level 4, JJ has flash.
It's flapping his way on out of there. He's going to get hit by the swell seed. Not quite connecting with the booming blows as
What side?
Yones makes a pit stop in the mid lane and Beef goes for an engage in the bot side. MKR goes down and he gets, spoiler alert, you're running into the mates. Might be able to team up with Yones for something here, but Rexat recognizes the potential for the Lilia to turn things around. 42 Gaming evening up the kill score 2-2.
They're gonna keep going.
It just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop at all. Still without the flash on the Jarvan, and BlueWhites are going to be able to punish getting the kill. Not the best in terms of goal distribution, but again, this is the aggressive early game that we like to finish squad.
And they are... it feels like they're angry after game one. They didn't really get anything done, so now they're pushing all the advantages that they can. Sure, the Jarvan gang on the top side worked. I was about to say that BO5 is really doing what he needs to do when he gets counter jungled for half of his first clear. Just get the advantage onto the lanes, get kills on the map, and from there you can start to catch up a little bit with catch-up experience and items. However, the rest of the map is also dying alongside the kill solo. The solo kill from Pomo in the mid lane and afterwards the fight at the Raptors is giving BlueWhites something to work with here in this 5-minute early game.
MKR playing very respectfully, whilst Egets is on his adventures across the rest of the map. Going to try and spot out Balmeath, and I really like this. So key that you know where the Jarvan is at all times and deny him the opportunity to access his lanes. Balmeath has already died twice this game, and that's resulted in a pretty significant farm lead for Yones.
Yep, the Lilia are already having quite a lot of AP, and that just makes her clear faster and faster, which lets her get more levels, more gold, and more importantly, lets her play on the map. -1, confirmed. Yeah. MKR, noob, can't believe it. Chrissy, though, trying to prove that he is not noob, will be able to dodge the abilities. BO5, though.
Oh, Yones potentially going to be noobified here by 42 Gaming. Flashes over the wall. Absolutely needed to expend the summoner spell, but nice to see Rexat and Balmeath trying to pair up a little bit as the Grubs have hit the map and force Yones back.
JJ still has his flash, so can play a bit aggressive here. This Lilia is strong. They need to be careful when they approach these Grubs if they cannot catch someone out.
Yeah, I like this pathing from Veloxa as well, just not walking into any potential danger. Balmeath still hanging around for these. Rexat looking for an engage. He's going to get turned on. Double knock-up, and here comes the slicing Maelstrom, cutting through the health bars on BlueWhites. Veloxa in the world ender, though, gets the reset, gets that bonus damage, and Virtuoso still trying to find something, and he goes forward onto Pomo. Dropping down so damn low, just about able to get that kill. Another scrappy fight where no one comes out decisively ahead.
No one comes out decisively ahead, except when it comes to the Grubs. I think BlueWhites got most of them. During that entire fight, they were DPSing them down, so they trade evenly, get important kills onto the Aatrox, who was falling behind, and is their main frontliner alongside this Lilia.
Virtuoso does have a Hextech rocket belt in his inventory.
That is something that I noticed.
That's...
So, now this is a message for 42. They need to play alongside the top side of the map, or get Virtuoso to rotate down, because this cannon is where all of their money is, really. They don't have money anywhere else. If we can see the individual player gold, it should show the message. But
yeah, I mean, he's the only player on 42 Gaming that has got a lead, and I think now I'm going to be really interested to see how BlueWhites adapt to this, because last game it was Balmeath who had an early skirmish and got really far ahead. The jungler able to impact the entire map. Virtuoso, especially without that teleport, not quite as free to do that. So BlueWhite definitely still have some angles. They just don't exist in top lane for the time being.
I mean, as you said, they don't exist in the top lane for the time being, so they go down to the bot side of the map. Need to be careful though. BO5 is there with the flag and drag to steal it away. Goes for it.
Not quite able to find it. 42 going to be looking for a fight on the backside though. One man lilting lullaby as Jonas is going to be dropping down. Pomo arcane shifting to try and provide some damage, and Chrissy killer instincting into the fight. 42 Gaming, they don't get the dragon, but they get everything else.
That's not what you want to do. 42 punishes the greedy Dragon Tank really well. Jonas dropping quite low from tanking the Mountain Drake for that long. And with the Jarvan ultimate available, they are able to get pretty much everyone in. And since Bomber doesn't have Trinity Force yet, he doesn't have the DPS threat in an extended fight to contest someone like the Smolder, who is, surprisingly enough, quite dangerous in this level 6 to 9 power spike as well.
And Carvis, does seem like this game is already starting to rhyme a little bit with what we saw just a few minutes ago in Game 1. BlueWhites showing spirit in the very early stages, but 42 very quickly showing their skill as a team, able to come back. JJ going to be finding Pomo, who misses with a point-blank Mystic Shot. Not the best way to start off an engagement, but Veloxir is here, so 42 do need to be very, very careful as BO5 just about able to flag and drag himself on out of there. So a Gromp claimed here for Jonas, but not much more for a lot of pressure invested.
And they are trying to make sure that BO5 gets shut down when it comes to farming. Whether it's worth it to lose pressure on the rest of the map is still yet to be seen, just due to, well, the earlier team fight going not BlueWhites. Whoa! Aggressive eat forwards from Bomber.
Yeah, and I think that's going to signal the rest of 42 to go forwards. BO5 walking very far under that tower before the aggression is called off. Post 10 minutes, 1k gold lead to 42, but a solace for BlueWhites is they were able to pick up that early dragon, so it's not like 42 have got everything in their favor right now.
Grubs are there. It's most likely going to be a fight over this, but now Virtuoso gets to participate with that Rocket Belt finish. He is going to be so dangerous. Teleports coming in from everyone. There's going to be a fight soon.
Oh, but very, very key here is BlueWhites have actually rotated everyone up to secure these grubs. This is going to give Chrissy a load of time in the bottom lane, but means that it's a bit harder for 42 to approach. That's 2 grubs slain here for BlueWhites, 4 in total. BO5 getting caught out in the river, but just about able to flag and drag away. The shots coming down from the curtain call as Veloxir is trying to prevent Virtuoso from entering. He will be successful. 1 kill in favor of BlueWhites. A second kill going to come through in favor of BlueWhites. Mum called down. JJ wiping off the enemy support. So 2 for 1 in favor of BlueWhites. But again, look, bot lane. Chrissy has had so much time against this tower.
Yeah, Chrissy is having a time of his life, just getting a ton of personal gold and Pomo!
Ooh! JJ says GG. Pomo falling for the 3rd time this game, and Smolder, a scaling champion with 8 guild participation this early on, is going to be feeling very good.
Indeed. And it feels like the game is still even with all of that. Just due to the fact we haven't seen Virtuoso play a proper team fight yet. He was completely zoned out in that grub take attempt, just stuck underneath his own tower and a big wall between the river area. And when he gets in with a slicing maelstrom, he only hits 1 target. So all of the farm and items on the cannon were basically not there. BlueWhites was just fighting 5 against 3. But as you said, Chrissy gets a ton of money, gets accelerated power spikes heading into the upcoming dragon in a minute or so. And that's probably where we get to see what the full power of 42 is here. They have to break through the vision line first, but they should be fairly comfortable going.
And just having another sort of look at the turret plate situation. Once again, it's favoring 42, despite the fact that BlueWhites have secured 5 of those Void Grubs. Veloxir going to be able to take 2, going to be able to pick up the local gold flat plate. So better than Game 1, I think, is true broadly across the rift here for BlueWhites, but it is 42 Gaming still who are edging out just so slightly.
42 definitely has all the tools they need to fight over this dragon. I think Jones is currently rotating towards it, while Balmy may instead choose to cross map here, trying to punish Volux, but the dragon already being started.
Yeah, BlueWhites going to be able to take this way, hopefully with fewer casualties than the previous time they attempted this objective. And Balmif actually not going for in the top lane, instead focusing attention towards that Rift Herald. And this is a fairly standard trade that we end up seeing. Second dragon taken for Herald. So BlueWhites with the stacking objectives in their favor. But 42 Gaming, we saw what they did last time, and they'll be hoping for something similar in game 2.
All they need to do is crack the topside tower, so, well, there it goes. So Virtuoso gets to rotate over to this mid lane. They've already used the Herald, and they want to look for a fight.
Yeah, Pomo is going to be making his way in, as is Egets and Iones, but they're engaged onto by Balmif. The mid lane tower standing strong, but we are starting to see a bit of a skirmish develop. Rexat pulled back, and neither team really able to find that decisive engage. The so-stall distancing, like we were talking about, being practiced by BlueWhites.
The Lilting Lullaby was committed when Balmif got caught out slightly after jumping out of the Herald. But once they see the cannon show up outside of the brush, that angry Pikachu is going in.
Oh, MKR, are you having fun, mate? Are you enjoying playing ADC? I think I know the answer. The rest of the team coming out to avenge their fallen comrade, and I'm not sure that Balmif is going to be able to escape. Does just get that flash. He gets looking for the knock-up, securing a second kill for Veloxa. A third kill coming down in favor of the BlueWhites in bottom lane, and just showing that despite the disadvantages they found themselves out, they are still more than willing, more than able to take it to 42 Gaming, and this game is basically dead even.
That's the thing. Currently in an extended fight, BlueWhites are stronger. If 42 gets the Slicing Maelstrom into Cataclysm combo, that's when they win the team fights. But they used everything on MKR, and then comes Voluxa with the teleport hold.
Chrissy looking for a solo kill potentially here against Iones. Flashes away from the Q, flashback away from the Lilia. Here comes Pomo with the last hit. Chrissy punished for his over-aggression. We are 11 kills apiece. Dead even gold. Both teams here to play.
Okay, well, that's the AD carry gone. Sure, they got the mid lane tower, but Yon surviving that is huge. Sure, they lose the Lilia flash, but getting a kill onto Chrissy, getting that onto Pomo is going to get this mid-game going, but as I start praising Pomo, he's getting caught out.
Yeah, no, dead as a door now. Veloxa once again joining at the end of an engagement to try and claw something back, but will not be able to this time around. The curtain call, and it's just window shopping from MKR. He's not getting anything as 42 pick up a clean couple of kills in the mid lane.
Some questionable calls being made by players on both sides, kind of struggling to figure out their positioning on the map when you have no objectives to play for. They're trying to outmaneuver each other, and Rexit could be the one getting caught out this time.
Yeah, he is maneuvering himself right into his own fountain. As soon as a good play goes in favor of 42, BlueWhites get something back. And I think this game is really just going to be decided by the first team to consistently chain together good plays. You only need a couple to build an advantage that can carry you through to the rest of this game. But we haven't seen either team do that just yet.
This game has been quite inconsistent. I think you hit the nail on the head there. And well, they need to calm down, okay? They need to stop scrapping, press tab, and see that, okay, one of the teams has 5-2 and 1-8 procs after that rough early game. Voluxa looking strong going into the next objective fight. Meanwhile, on the side of 42, you have Chrissy. Chrissy on the Static Shiv, doing quite well for himself when it comes to farm, has a ton of gold. And JJ getting good stacks due to all the skirmishing, has an 8 kill participation, and you have a 2-item cannon to work with. Now, entire play here is to establish objective control and 42 to force a team fight.
We are still waiting for a few key spikes on BlueWhites. Veloxa with some pretty sizable components in inventory. Pomo basically already got that mirror mana, surely just needs to reset, but it doesn't look like he's going to have time to, so the Ezreal going to be very low power for this fight. Balmy's going to get caught out to initiate it, but the Jarvan, not necessarily the sort of champion that you want to pump all of your cooldowns into. This would be sole point for BlueWhites if they can pick it up, but 42 absolutely in a position to contest.
Curtain calling use just to zone 42 out a little bit. They're instead going to commit to the mid wave.
This is a bold call. This is not a 42 Gaming that have got a sizable gold advantage. It's not even a 42 Gaming that are able to claim anything off it. So BlueWhites securing that Infernal Soul point, and the 5-minute timer, the 300-second countdown begins. If 42 give up one more Drake, their chances of winning this game go down dramatically.
The real issue here is that it seems like BlueWhites added some barbed wire to the 10-foot pole that they have. It kind of hurts. Balmy did try to approach them, but instantly lost half of his life. And if they don't get the setup on the objective and get the vision advantage, find the flanks that they need with the Rel, Jarvan, and Kennen, reaching BlueWhites without dying is going to be an issue.
That is certainly one way of putting it. Pomo has now picked up that mirror mana, so the Ezreal has achieved the Spike as old as time. Trinity Force mirror mana combo has existed probably longer than a lot of people who play League of Legends have been alive, which is a little bit of a scary thought. Post 20 minutes, we've got the Baron Nashor on the Rift, so losing a big team fight becomes a lot more impactful for both of these teams.
Indeed. I'm still wondering, like, there's a thought in my head.
Okay.
And
is this a notable event, Carvis?
It relates to the Baron.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the compositions.
Yep.
You have a 2-item Aatrox, almost 2-item Lilia. You have the Ezreal power spike.
Okay.
Can BlueWhites just start this and try to turn?
I would like to counter with the existence of Kennen and Jarvan, Carvis.
That is a viable gambit, my friend. But I would like to commit to the reverse gambit of vision denial that BlueWhites are committing around this Baron area, forcing the 42 approach towards it.
And I think 42, looking at their hand, I think they may just have to all in if they want to find something. We're extending the poker metaphors as long as possible, but I've not set foot in a casino in a very long time, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep up. And hey, it's what you're saying, Carvis. BlueWhites just starting up the Baron.
They walk through the ward, so they have full information of this. They need to back off. The Baron is doing quite a bit, but Chrissy chunked down. It's a very precarious position.
Oh, potentially more precarious for Pomo, as he's down to 20% HP. MKR going to be opening up with the curtain call, and 42 employ the high-level tactic of walking away. Yono's potentially looking at a little bit of a flank there, but not able to find anything. Right, I'm just going to keep it 100, okay? Like, we need to ban Chrissy from using that emote. Like, come on, man.
Can we mute emotes for the casters? my co-caster is getting tilted. Like, come on. This is not fair for me.
Top lane tower going to go down in favor of BlueWhites. The game's still so damn even, but that timer in the top right-hand corner of your screen continues to go down. Infernal Soul approaching. So 42 need to assert themselves on the map now more than ever to prevent themselves from losing out on that objective.
Getting that Empowered Scholar Prep is huge for 42, because now they find out where exactly BlueWhites' vision, what they have been playing around, and they can kind of adapt their own game plan where they know where they may be able to approach and where BlueWhites are likely to ward in the future as well. If they have the awareness to do that, of course. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, 42 might just press the buttons in and look for whatever fight they can get. But delaying the game is what they really want to do here.
It's BlueWhites that get the first move on this mid lane without a mid lane tower for either teams. It's always a little bit riskier pushing up, and we do see a ward placed behind BlueWhites' river line just in the mid lane there. Potential flank opportunities for Virtuoso if he can find it, but BlueWhites understanding the assignment to the T. Posted up in the river already and preventing 42 from making their way in.
MKR isolated in the mid lane needs to be a bit careful so he doesn't get jumped on by Rexat and friends. But again, establishing control of Blue. Whoa!
Balmeath once again getting chunked heavily before one of these dragons, and BlueWhites look to start it up. The last one, 42 were fine to give away. That is not something that you can do this time around as Rexat is moving in, but himself has been chunked so down low. The coast call going to be opened up. Here comes the engage from Egets. Knocks up two, they flash away. Virtuoso is dead. The cannon can contribute nothing to this team fight as BlueWhites wipe away 42 Gaming. Chrissy going to be falling for a shutdown. The health bars so low for BlueWhites, but they're all still standing. Infernal Soul in the pocket as they head for Baron.
It's incredible how BlueWhites are piloting the more difficult composition so damn well. 5-0 in a fight where the enemy has Jarvan, Kennen, and Rel. Rexat even trying to look for a flank with the blast cone just gets shut down because everyone has lost so much HP due to the curtain call mystic shots chunking down everyone so they cannot approach. Getting the first move onto these objectives is all BlueWhites need to do to establish advantage and secure, may even be the thing that wins them the game eventually.
Yeah. Chaining those good plays together. Chunking down Balmeath before the third dragon to secure that soul point. BlueWhites then taking the fight around the dragon, preventing any sort of look-in from 42 Gaming to pick themselves up the Infernal Soul, to pick themselves up the Baron. 2 out of 3 of the big late game objectives secured for the Finnish squad, and my oh my, how well they have turned around this series in the span of a single game. Balmeath looking for a flank on the sides. This is where 42 try and flip the game, but he gets with a Cataclysm, but still MKR falls down. The slicing Maelstrom doing exactly what it needs to as Pomo arcane shifts forward, but here comes Veloxa ending the world of 42. A double kill for Pomo before he falls down, and still an even fight, but look at this Aatrox commanding, going forward to his heart's content.
Pushing is going to be difficult though. JJ is still so strong. Has the Eldest Soul a little bit early. Still 4 minutes until BlueWhites can even try to get one of those from themselves. But the call by 42 was good. Veloxa was shoving down bot lane with no TP. It was expended on the earlier fight, or the Baron take, can't remember which one. But once they spot the Aatrox, good flank by Balmeath, they go and pop MKR. They got everything that they wanted on the initial fight, but Veloxa realized what's happening and made the rotation. And as you said, the Aatrox on 3 items is something that 42 is struggling to deal with. Look at that damage! The Infernal Soul just adding onto the poke that BlueWhites can throw at 42.
Yeah, Pomo very rapidly approaching the most fun point on Ezreal with that Spirit Trojan, where pressing Q resets your Q. And you can go from playing a little bit close to the enemy team to just kind of doing whatever you want in team fights. That's not to say that there isn't damage here on 42 Gaming. That Smolder stacking up every single time he presses the Q button. And Chrissy here 3 items on the Kai'Sa, no Slash himself, but having to go up against the Infernal Soul.
Oh, no.
Permanent buff is so damn difficult. Balmeath interrupted in his attempted escape. And BlueWhites with a 5v4 on the map for the next half a minute.
Curtain call used, returns are very low. They're just gonna keep going.
Oh, I mean, why not? Why not? He gets diving into the base. Veloxa going over the wall and slamming his sword down on 42. They have been absolutely ended by this Aatrox. A quadra kill for the BlueWhites top laner. And game 2 is looking to be just as rapid as game 1, but the result is going to be different. BlueWhites pushing forward onto these Nexus towers, looking to even up the series.
Milka, I think Veloxa heard all of his doubters talking. He's a tank player. He can't play anything but Ornn and Kennen. He's performing on this Aatrox, taking over the game. And the ball is now in 42's court because they came in rocking something different and it just did not work out.
Absolutely incredible, and a game that in many ways was identical to game 1. A little bit more drawn out, a little bit more protracted, but as soon as one team got an advantage, they really turned the screws and were able to take the game. This time, the victors, BlueWhites, giving us a 1-1 series. No early bedtimes for anybody in this game. Both teams looking to go the distance.
Yeah, we have a series on our hands.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. He said it. Let's go. No, break. No, he said the thing. He said the thing. Cut the feed. Bye-bye. We'll see you in a little bit.
Well, middle cut. Looks like the tried and true strategy of first you give them the seam up, and then you pull the matta alta is working once again.
Thank you, Carvis. Thank you very, very much for that. I'm sure that everyone in Finland is a little bit happier, just a little bit, after that second game. What a turnaround from BlueWhites. They got completely blown out of the water in game one. I don't think that is unfair to say, but definitely turned it around for game two. Close run thing through the early stages, but those dragons that they kept stacking up proved vital. Get the Infernal Soul, get the Baron, and 42 Gaming having to look at game three, the 1-1 scoreline.
Yeah. And I think the key differences to game one is, number one, Jones actually got a champion that he can play the map with, play aggressively towards the enemy jungle, and punish Bomb on these greedy, aggressive utility picks. And second, you gave Bomo something that he can kind of flex his laning prowess that he's so famous with. Getting the solo kill on the JJ, accelerating the Ezreal power spike is just that important. Even though JJ himself played a very good game after the laning phase, the Smolder was keeping 42 afloat for quite some time there. They need to start respecting BlueWhites a little bit. I think it went a little bit too ham in that game with the Jarvan especially. Jarvan solo frontlining. Well, not exactly solo frontlining. You have the Rel there, you have the Kennen there, but those are mostly follow-up engages. They're not the ones to go in first. The Jarvan got blown up, and then it just kind of fell apart from there. They couldn't get in safely. I want to see more of the Skarner. I want to see more of that kind of utility but that survives, not aggression. Aggression, but not aggression.
Yeah. There's a line. There's a line that you can cross sometimes, but we can't be doing that all the time. No, I think it's an excellent point that you raised, and I think something that you highlighted on the cast that was a big thing for me is that looking at this composition for BlueWhites, theoretically a lot harder to execute, a lot more nuanced in terms of the way that you need to play it, but consistently, like you mentioned, being able to chunk out Balmeath before he was able to get into these fights meant that a lot of the all-in from 42 just didn't really happen, and they were constantly playing on the back foot with a composition that was fundamentally not suited for that.
Also, the difficult part of establishing objective control early on, establishing vision control, they were always first there. In game one, it was always 42 controlling those areas and fighting on their terms. They were the ones to decide when to engage. This time around, BlueWhites weren't the ones to engage, but they decided, well, you can approach us. We don't really care. You're just going to eat a ton of damage while doing it.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that in both games so far that we've seen these compositions that do have a little bit more of those poke elements, obviously piloted very, very differently by 42 in the first game, but still they had their Ziggs who can rain down damage from very far. Both those compositions have found a lot of efficacy. It's so difficult to find the right engage if you are being chunked down consistently, and I think that may mean that teams need to go towards some of those more reliable engage options. I mean, we said that Veloxa was an Ornn player and he proved us emphatically wrong this game, but maybe we start to see a little bit more priority on champions like that. Stuff like the Malphites at Nautilus's Leonas, where the go button is so obvious and so easy to execute that there isn't really anything that you can do to play around it.
I have a feeling that Vertosa, after that game 2, is currently in his team's voice comms and going, guys, why does the enemy get to play Aatrox? Let me play Aatrox. Let me play Ryze. Let me carry. I want to show these guys that I can do this as well. And honestly, if this...
I mean, he had Kennen this game. Like...
yeah, but Kennen's not a lane bully. Kennen's not one of those characters that you take over a team fight with. You can...
Carvis, please, listen to yourself, my guy.
Oh, middle call. Again, there's a fine line between being a lane bully and carrying a team fight, and then you lane bully and carry a team fight. We talked about this, man.
It's about the tone of voice. It's about the inflection. Multiple different sort of factors going into it. But yeah, I mean, it's a very key point that you bring up. Virtuoso, 4 kills in the early game, 7.5 minutes rocket belt. You think that Kennen is absolutely off to the races, but it didn't really happen. I think beyond that grub fight, I didn't see a big ultimate from him that really changed the course of a team fight, and he wasn't able to find those angles.
At this point, I'd love to have replays off of the one team fight that we had. It was like near the grubs at the top side where Virtuoso just couldn't find the angle. It was so difficult against the setup of BlueWhites to find an angle to go in and press the rocket bell and ult. I would have been, sometimes Cannons love to go Leandry or Riftmaker or some sort of a offensive item instead of the rocket bell, where they think that if I can't go in, instead spec more to the damage side of things, try to take over the lane and maybe get the rocket built later, instead go for a Zonia and play around your flash cooldown. I think that could have been an option, but I just feel like it was a difficult game for Virtuoso to play, even with that gold advantage, and 42 is going to fix it going into game 3.
Yeah, so we do have draft coming up in a couple of minutes' time, and Carvis, I really sort of want to get your thoughts on that a bit more specifically. We've seen varying sorts of drafts and varying styles of compositions in this series thus far. What are you expecting the teams to sort of go towards in this third game? So important in the context of this series, match point for whoever wins it.
I think since 42 is going on the blue side, we have the information. Keep the Smolder. The Smolder is fine. Just make sure to build the composition around the Smolder so that it can play the game. Smolder being one of those carries that doesn't need the multiple damage threats. 42 are kind of famous for playing the multi-carry style, but they may not even need it here. Like, get a Skarner instead of even a Volley Bear. Get something that builds a bit more HP, can last a little bit longer, so the Smolder dot can stick, make the fights a little bit longer, and kind of force the fight to last way longer than the initial 2 to 3 seconds that Jarvan and Kent wanted to.
Yeah, it very much was a situation where the longer the fights went on, BlueWhites got more and more comfortable with them and just straight up started to win them because of that's how their composition worked. And so I guess focusing a little bit more on them, obviously a win in that game, and once they were able to get that decisive advantage, a very, very clean victory. But up until that point, still very, very back and forth. Was there anything that you saw in that previous game's composition where you're thinking maybe get rid of that, get in something different that's going to provide a bit more value in the early game and make it less dicey?
Honestly, I think the draft was just overall fine. It didn't really have too many issues in it other than being quite difficult to play, but seems like they can execute it. So it's up to 42 to really... They need to watch what 42 is doing and figure out what to change from that. For example, if they go for Emilio onto the Lilia, maybe not commit to the Lilia that early. If they start going for hard engage, say for example Skarner, get something that can easily interrupt the dashes. Make sure that as long as they respond on the red side well to 42's picks and play the same style, I think they are giving 42 quite a challenge.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that in terms of the player skill, I feel like these teams are both fairly even in terms of their ability to execute. It doesn't feel like there's been any player that's been particularly out of place in terms of this game, and equally, I don't think there's been anyone who's been in a 1v9 position, really. I think Velox has had some incredible team fights, but I don't think beyond what you would necessarily expect of an Aatrox in the situations that he's piloting it. So we'll have to see who comes out on top in this third game as we are jumping into Champion Select. 42 keeping it the same as the previous 2 games with their first 2 rotations. BlueWhites once again removing the Aurora initially and taking away that Ziggs.
Yeah, and the last ban will be staying the same. I think BlueWhites is going to get rid of the Varus as well. And this should be a first pick Smolder if all my thoughts are correct. Oh, whoa.
They take it away.
Taking away the Lilia. So this lets BlueWhites pick up the Smolder if they want to.
Certainly an angle that they go towards. I don't hate it though from 42 because we've got rid of that Zyra, we've got rid of the Lilia. In terms of AP junglers left, it's only really the Brand. I think that Yone's on a carry works really well, so you got to go for something a little bit different, and the Kindred, Garvis, is certainly that.
Yeah, this is also a nice pick because although Virtuoso is known to be a big Gragas player that usually does quite well into Kindred, that way you would have double AP on the top side of the map and kind of open yourself up to possibly like an unkillable Mundo or something that you really don't want to deal with. And yeah, they're just specking into the double 80 carry, picking up the Misfortune, trying to play even more aggressive down on the bot side of the map. MKR and Eggets, I think, have been the shining lane in the early stage of the game for BlueWhites.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the kills that they were able to get in game one, and no, not really kills, but the pressure that they were showing in that previous game, I think was very, very impressive. So indexing even further into that is a good idea. By picking up this Kindred, I do think this limits a little bit of what Pomo can play. I wouldn't want to see 3 AD carries in a composition. I think you're maybe cooking a little bit too much if you go for that, but 42 looks like they're going back to what worked for them in game one. We've got JJ on the Yone, and Chrissy is looking to pick up that Jhin, who they've had some exceptional performances on so far in this tournament.
Yeah, the Yone overall in NLC Division 2 has been a huge power pick for many a mid laner. I think everyone in our division is at least somewhat proficient on that pick, and usually when it goes through, it performs really well, so no surprises there. Not even going to pick against the Yone here, instead opting to keep the flex potential. Reminder, Yone is not only a mid laner, could also head up into the top side of the map. Say a Gnar gets picked by BlueWhites here on R4. 42 could decide to put the Yone up on the top side of the map. Instead, choosing to focus on the support pool, where Rex, the Pike was just apparently so annoying to deal with, it deserves a ban.
Well, I think it's one of those champions that I think changes the way that everyone has to play, right? If he's in a pick, same as something like an Evelynn, I think all these champions that have stealth within their kits are flip the game and make it a lot more difficult, and mean that a lot of your standard practices just don't work anymore. So if you're playing against a team that does like to get a little bit down and dirty and does like to, well, try and shake things up a little bit, I think the Pike ban is certainly very, very legitimate. Interesting that 42 have banned away the Kennen and the Rumble, obviously recognizing that there's a fair bit of AD on BlueWhites and they need to lock in some AP at some point. But we've still got other picks available that could be flexed into the top lane to provide that damage.
This Ryze is going to follow the Yone around. No matter where the Yone goes, this Ryze is going to follow, because as far as I know, that's not a fun matchup.
Well, so, Yone wants to like dash around and do all of that, but Ryze just goes, actually no, cage.
Also, you have an inbuilt shield in your kit, and the range on 42 is fairly low at the moment, so everyone needs to run into the Ryze that is just pushing out Q after Q, Q, E, W, Q, R, Q, machine gun, just kind of belting out damage. The Xante, though, I do like this pick. I wouldn't even mind. What do you go? Do you just go Nautilus here to have some sort of guaranteed engage for the Yone to play with?
I think that's probably a bit smart. I mean, like, if you're playing around Jhin, like Lilia, Yone, it's all a little bit more abstract. Possibly the complete opposite of Nautilus as a champion. This is a very, very bold Janna pick. Yeah, Carvis, this is where I love being a play-by-play, because I don't have to explain what's going on here.
But what do you deny with your Tornado? Sure, you can deny a Zenith Blade or something. That's the main engage currently. But, okay, so now they have something to deny with. Now that the Gnar is locked in, the Janna is getting a ton more value. You can keep the Gnar away when it goes into Mega after using the Hop. He's a sitting target for the rest of your team. But they're still like, who do you peel? You peel Chrissy on the Jhin?
Yeah, I almost feel like we're in a situation where Virtuoso wants to go forward, JJ wants to go forward. I think that Balmeef, if they get hit by a single piece of CC, they're dead, but they've still got the ability to kite around and then go forward again. And you're playing a peel-based champion for the Jhin, who is just going to be fighting at a long range anyway. Maybe Rexet has got like some crazy way of playing Janna. I know that you can play this champion like very heavy roam style and pairing up with your jungler mid laner to go and visit other lanes. Maybe that's the angle, but it's a very bold pick here in a very, very important game for 42. If they lose this, they are down a match point, and their opportunity to, well, get into the NLC Division 1 is gone for another year at least.
Yep. But the one thing that the Janna does bring to the table, I have to point out, is for the lane, Jhin Janna is so annoying to play against, especially a character like Leona, who can easily be peeled away by the Janna Tornado and the slows that are coming in, at least until level 6. After solo play, it becomes a little bit more difficult to defend against, but for the early game, this Jhin should be fine, just due to the fact that there's a Janna on the lane. I'm just wondering what it means for the second Drake onwards. If this Janna is the more roaming style, Jhin isn't going to be able to survive against that bot lane, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be very dangerous for Chrissy down on that bot side of the map if that's the case. But
I think it's risky, I think, though, to pick purely for the 2v2 in that case.
It might have even been like a preemptive denial pick, say, if they were expecting a Gnaw counter pick onto the Cassante. If they were expecting some sort of an annoying counter pick, say a Camille onto the Cassante, then the Janna would start to make a little bit more sense when it comes to team fighting. But we certainly have something to watch for this game, how it plays out.
I love that we get like a Kindred slammed early in the draft, and that's not the most interesting thing.
Oh,
that we've
Kindred
seen.
is regular.
Yeah,
that, I'm used to seeing this.
But I think the important thing that I think is really important that we emphasize is it's another carry for Jonas. It's another champion where he's going to have agency in terms of his ability to actually deal damage, and snowballing through the jungle, I think, is absolutely doable with the composition that BlueWhites have got for themselves here.
The one thing that Kindred also does to the game is, well, all of these mini-game champions kind of do this thing where their game plan is very telegraphed. Wait, there's a mark on the map? Where could this Kindred be? I can't believe it. He's on the mark. And everyone knows when they're going to appear on the map. Everyone knows where they are. So this is a clear sign for Balmeef and friends. This is where Jonas is most likely going to be. How are we going to play around this? And this entire thing makes it even more important to come out ahead in lane. We get to see how well the lanes establish priority, how their timing is, and how well they synergize with their jungler on these probably very skirmishy 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s that are going to be happening on the map.
Yeah, and I think if we look down those lanes, I think based on the matchup, we should expect Veloxa on the Gnar to get priority against Virtuoso on the Cassante. I think that the Rise is a really good time of dealing with the Yone, and I mean, it's misfortune, Leona. Like, guys, there's a lot of potential bot lane. Yes, I think that Chrissy and Rexat with the double range have some stuff that they can do in the early stages, but if you take one bad trade versus that duo, the lane's going to be very, very unpleasant for you. We are heading on to Summoner's Rift for the third time this evening. 42 Gaming victorious the first time around, but BlueWhites with a very impressive performance in Game 2 to even up the series. The winner of this game secures match point, gets one step closer to that matchup against Rich Gang for a spot. The NLC Division 1 early trading in the bottom lane. He gets losing a little bit of HP. Chrissy losing a little bit more.
But
oh
no.
Just, no. Okay. Well, surely Chrissy doesn't just die here. I mean, Egets has got the Ignite. The Cleanse is going to have to be used. One more auto.
MK, I was thinking about it. MK, I was thinking about flashing for it.
Oh, Egets. Oh, no. I've seen this guy do this so many times. Oh, my words. That is a classic Egets play, but he gets the flash out of Chrissy, and this Jhin is going to be so late to lane.
The main problem is that Jonas is starting on the bot side of the map. He is on the wrong side of the map to properly punish this unless he goes for a sneaky 3-camp into instant gank on the bot side of the map, sacrificing probably the entire top side if Lilia is aware that that could be happening. It's just... That's more dangerous for Chrissy to play in this lane now. Just needs to be super careful not to get caught out by a Zenith Blade, and Rexa needs to be on point with Tornadoes. But as we mentioned in draft, this should be a negation lane for Chrissy and Rexa. They should not die if they play correctly.
Should. It's a very
Should.
big word. It's a very big word, Carvis. Given the propensity of Egets to engage, many things that should happen sometimes don't. MKR and Egets actually not going so aggressive at the level 1 as Egets missing out actually on a little bit of XP, so hasn't quite been able to hit the level 2 mark, and I mean that's crucial for the Leona. Rexet going to get locked down there, the Tornado hitting onto MKR, but this lane is going a lot better for Chrissy and Rexet than maybe it should be, considering what happened earlier on.
It's gonna take a bit until they start probably punishing right now.
Oh yeah, like this.
The level 2 is quite important for Leona, surprisingly enough. It gets an additional point of CC to slam onto the enemy. And Rexet now, with no defensive summoners, they are in a very, very dangerous spot where they can't really push forward until they have full information on where the Kindred is. But again, Jones started on the opposite side of the map. He's playing towards the top side, so it will take some time until the Kindred is there to properly punish Chrissy, if he ever does so.
Yeah, Balmy going to be pathing towards the top side. Spotted out by a ward, placed by Veloxa. And with that first mark, spawning on the top side, Scuttle Crab. It's going to be the nexus of attention for Yones, at least for the next few seconds. He is going to meet Balmy there, but the Lilia doesn't have Smite, so you would favour the Kindred in that sense. Interruption on the engage from Rexat as Chrissy, with a full shot against Egets, actually gets a fair bit done for himself. And the bot lane not looking completely disastrous for 42 Gaming, but Rexat pretty damn low on HP.
Yep, also no healing potions left, so needs to, again, watch out. Has the support of the jungler, though, but it's just kind of awkward from them to play without the flashes. They can't really secure the kills. Of course, Jin being one of those 4-shot carries. Oh no, JJ!
Always able to go back to the Soul Unbound. Yones stacking up the Mounting Dread. Not able to get the proc. Do believe that the Kindred was able to pick up that first mark on the top Scuttle, so already getting those together is absolutely excellent, because there's a massive difference between a Kindred that is marked up and one who has no marks.
And that's going to be the minigame going forward. Jones needs to do something when it comes to the Dragon fights, because the Lilia will be farming way faster than Jones will ever be with that item already finished. Just needs to start tracking the enemy jungler, really. Bomb is going to be full clearing for quite some time, and the lanes just want to get level 6s because that's where the fights will start happening. Rexet, though.
Oh yeah, getting 1v1'd as MKR is fighting up against Chrissy. Able to get the stun under the tower, but not quite finish him off, and actually looks like MKR might be falling down. Egets goes under the tower for the first blood. Probably going to pay for it with his life. As his MKR is suffering a similar fate to the hands of Balmy. Flash invested from the Lilia, and it's a 1-for-2 in the bottom lane.
Getting the first blood, but it goes onto the Leona. 42 perfectly happy with that trade. You already saw what a early kill on a Lilia can do regarding jungle clear and overall advantage state. And the Jin getting another one. Not by any means shabby. They are off to a great start, even after having a disastrous early game fight. And this is kind of what I expected BlueWhites to do, but instead, again, Jones claiming to the opposite side. We'll be starting up the Grubs due to the Cassante lane up on the top side of the map. Veloxa will be holding lane priority for the near future, and there shouldn't be too much contention around this objective.
Yeah, and I think we've also got the mini objective of the Kindred mark, which is spawned on that Gromp, and with the priority, BlueWhites have been able to secure those Grubs. Maybe going into the enemy jungle will be a bridge too far, but considering that Balmeef is making a beeline towards the bottom side and Rexa has exited the top side as well, it's does really start to open up here for Yones on the Kindred.
Yeah, instead of looking to punish MKR, who's recalling safely, thankfully. But the Dragon is something that they were kind of trying to figure out if they can go for. Instead, they start up the blue buff, so we will be somehow, some way cross-mapping from this position, kind of splitting the map even, as JJ.
Oh, I mean, there's just quite a fair bit of CC, isn't there? Doesn't have to burn the Fate Sealed or the Flash to get away, but a little bit of a taster of the fate that could befall this Yone as the game gets longer. Balmy, without the level 6, is going to get focused here, stunned up, locked down, all the CC dropped on him, but once again, BlueWhites just don't have quite enough damage. Chrissy and Rexet both making their way over, but he gets healthy enough to survive.
That was technically a 2-on-4. 42 has to send everyone to defend against Bomo Eget's duo, who are just kind of flexing this counterpick of Rise into the Yone. Didn't have too much of a fun time against it in game 1, but this time on a mage, I think Bomo is a little bit more known for playing the mage picks instead of the AD carries, so makes sense that he would do better in this sort of a matchup as well. JJ though, still doing pretty good, has the Berserker Greaves, and should be more than powerful enough to fight in a dragon fight if one were to happen, as 42 are positioning around it.
Yeah, but Yones is also on the bottom side of Summoner's Rift, and both of these junglers with very high impact team fight ultimates. We're going to see a Realm Warp in from Pomo, and Balbeef has just been left all on his lonesome, disrespecting BlueWhite's ability to just jump right on top of him, and they say TY for the leash, pick up the first dragon of the game.
That was just... it was overconfidence. They thought that they had the position, they thought that they were able to rotate first in holding lane priority, shoving in the waves, and then Bomo presses Realm Warp and it's instantly a 4-on-1. It just... It's one of those spells that you don't really think about until you see it on your screen, catches you off guard. Oh wait, Rise can do this. Usually you see it in the late game where it has a longer range, surprise Baron takes or whatever. But in the early game, played in the mid lane, it can be a surprise factor that Bonnie got caught off guard by.
Well, it's similar to TP, I think, in a lot of ways. It's just there is no real substitute for having an extra guy there to fight alongside you, as once more we see a Mark spawning on the top side, but this time 42 much better position to respond, and BlueWhites immediately call off the play. They don't want to overinvest to try and get the Mark and lose more than they'd gain.
Yeah, this is how it's supposed to happen. You are always committing a risk when you go for the Kindred Mark. This time 42 where, hey, there's a Mark on the ground. Are we ready to defend? JJ had the lane pushed in, Vertosa had the lane pushed in, and they're able to easily rotate and defend the mini objective. However, they don't really gain much off of it. Sure, they get a Gromp. That's it. Meanwhile, they position themselves out of lane, and Voloxa and Trent can just kind of freely take the creeps, and BlueWhites are trying to rotate over and find some sort of engage before the Herald is on the Rift.
Now we've got the next spawn of the Grubs very, very shortly. BlueWhites with 3 of those, so tower taking potential. If it wasn't already high enough with the double AD carry, it's going to be going through the roof. Potential catch here onto Balmeef, a little bit of disengage coming through, but it simply doesn't seem to be enough for the Lilia. Misfortune ultimate, providing a little bit of disengage, and he gets able to survive there with the Lamb's Respite, just about get out of range of the Curtain Call as Pomo is being jumped onto by Virtuoso, has to flash away, gets hit in the back, but is it going to drop down? JJ now finding 2 members of the enemy team in his own jungle, and he emphatically doesn't want them to be there. Yone's flashing, but still falling down, and BlueWhites, they knew when to back off in the top side, but in the bot side, it just doesn't seem to be the case. He gets with the execute to deny a little bit of goal, but that is not what you want to be doing if you're a Finnish fan.
What a great punish from 42. They defended against the initial pick, as MKR is in trouble now.
Yeah, but JJ will go back to his soul, and will have to be satisfied with taking most of the Misfortune's health bar away instead of all of it. Much closer game, and I dare say Carvy's a little bit more cagey. I think both teams very much aware of what's on the line and what winning this game would mean for their chances in the series.
Yeah, they are more intentional with the plays that they are going for. I was about to praise 42 by the way that they punished the pseudo dive onto Bomb Eve, just forcing BlueWhites' cooldowns out for very minimal gain. Sure, they got the Lilia down, but afterwards, after JJ gets in onto the fight, BlueWhites are just so separated they cannot fight against the Yone 1-on-1 and 2-on-2. It's just too difficult at this point. Virtuoso, of course, with the rotation, zoning Bomber away, another key point in that earlier fight, as they seem to take away the blue buff, and 42 are not in position to defend this time.
Yeah, they might be in position to punish E gets on the exit, as Leona incredibly tanky with the Eclipse, but not tanky enough to survive against 4 members of the enemy team for oh so long. I do like what BlueWhite's been doing with their lane assignments though. Virtuoso has itemized into this Frozen Fist, and now that he's having to lane against Pomo, that item has very little value in keeping him alive.
There's still an angle if he can get a nice knock-up on the Pomo where the all-out shoves him all the way to Bomb Eve over the wall. Minda, no flash on the rise.
He is just going to do that as Pomo positioning just far
There it
away
is.
from the wall, but he gets dragged over into the waiting hooves of the Lilia, and Virtuoso gets that kill.
Just a great play by the top laner, and this is the Virtuoso I expected to see coming into this series. He has been flexing his just overall skill as a player and being strong in lane, being strong out of it, and hadn't really shown his claws until just now. He's looking for the aggressive plays, calling for his jungler. Let's kill the enemy up on this top side of the map as JJ is doing his thing down on the bot side. Veluxa now suddenly finds himself in the counter matchup. As you said, the lane assignments, while Rise into the Cassante is good in a tunnel, this puts Veluxa in a bit more difficult of a matchup as the Yone is very good at chasing down minions.
Yeah, those little legs can't carry you far enough away from the Yone mini situations as 42 Gaming starting to pull up to a little bit of a lead here. Virtuoso with that first tower gold has propelled his team to 2,000 to the good. BlueWhites once again though stacking up those dragons. It was a, dare I say, determining factor in the previous game, and with a Hextech Soul on the Rift, another powerful combat-oriented soul. If 42 Gaming don't stop the stacking, it could prove decisive once more.
Hextech Soul, one of the highest win rate souls in the entire game. You rarely ever see a team lose with this one, but if you get caught out like this...
Yeah, Yones sticks his hand in the cookie jar and is able to pilfer away a couple of Oreos without having to pay too much in terms of HP for it.
And again, this is the sort of awkward state that Kindred puts the game in. You're constantly invading. The team that is getting invaded is forced to respond. Everyone converges, but nobody wants to fight. Everyone's still waiting for their power spikes. Everyone wants to get that little bit of additional gold in their inventory, get that level 11 if possible. And while we wait for that, it's a very calm game compared to the other two. Only 7 kills have gone down so far. Only a 2k gold lead as they realm war.
Oh, they've gone! Look at
Wrong side! Well, it's such a surprising play that the observing is getting confused as well.
Where did he go? He just disappeared. I swear he was stood right there. But given that we do have this slightly slower pace to things, Carvist, inevitably we start to ask the question of actually who does benefit from this game being drawn out. Yes, it's 42 who have currently got the advantage and would theoretically, therefore, win any subsequent fights. But if they're not able to push that further, do BlueWhites benefit from that?
That's the thing. It's a mystery to us. In my opinion, this is the most evenly matched game when it comes to scaling and composition. Both teams have the tools to deal with each other's. It's just a question, what can this Janna achieve? Usually it's such a key denial tool when it comes to engages, but the only thing that you really look into Tornado and Monsoon is the knock. And when the solo player hits like this...
Oh, I mean, Balmeath is just dead. Yones collecting his 5th stack of the game off of the enemy jungler, so the Kindred doing pretty well in terms of that department. Has already locked, or picked up rather, that first upgrade. Needs a couple more stacks to get subsequent ones, and first kill in a little bit as Yones hops back over the wall for stacks number 6 and then turns back onto Virtuoso, who is really not enjoying the attention that the Kindred is giving him. And BlueWhites look to even up the turret score and close that gold gap.
6 marks already, I think, on Yops. That's a lot for 17 minutes, considering the kills are only 2. So he's just been counter jungling most of these stacks. And after the second item, 42's frontline is going to be facing a huge problem where there's a Rise hitting you and a Kindred hitting you for mixed damage output. And so far, Virtuoso has been only itemizing for the armor part.
Yeah, I mean, with the randoms in addition to the Iceborne Gauntlet, Chrissy going on a bit of an adventure as he's had to get out of that Rift Herald as BlueWhites respond to 42's attempt to pressure in the mid lane, and this is big. That Rift Herald charge would have taken down that mid lane tower, but instead it's going to get nothing at all apart from a little bit of gold for Veloxa.
Yeah, JJ had no teleport, so they would have been in a 4-on-5. They decided to commit to that mid lane play. And again, it's a defensive victory for BlueWhites. They're just looking to play towards these dragons up in 45 seconds, so they're going to set up the side lanes, clear the waves as fast as they can, and then look to set up for their eventual win condition. Do the Hextech Soul, we can finally determine, yes, they may just be able to use that to win the game. The slows against a composition like 42's are so annoying to deal with. Lilia especially, who relies on movement speed. Against the Hextech Soul, getting that small stagger occasionally will let the skill shots and lockdowns land onto the deal.
Yeah, and as we saw many times in the previous game, it's BlueWhites who have got the position in the river. Double knockup from Virtuoso, though, to get the fight started in favor of 42. Sleep onto the Kindred. A lot of damage on Yones, but he's able to get the Lamb's respite off just in time. Still gets flipped back, pushed over the wall, and here comes the damage from JJ. Actually going to get turned around himself. Ends up being a 1-for-1, but crucially, BlueWhites lack their jungler. Pomo still spitting out spells to his heart's content as he gets fighting against Chrissy on the other side. Zonya's from Balmeath, and the Monsoon will keep him alive. He gets dropping in the mid lane to Chrissy, and 42 Gaming, they're able to contest, they're able to fight, they're able to stop the stacking, and BlueWhites have to run away. Virtuoso falling low himself, but 42 Gaming definitively the team with a bit more combat power at this stage. Stop the stacking, save for a Miracle Steal, which is not going to come through. Balmeath claims that, but from the teleport, Veloxa is joining very close to the Meganar, looking for a big engage. Pulled back by Virtuoso, who saves his team from a potential engage and doesn't even need to sacrifice his life. BlueWhites, though, positioning up in the mid lane, potentially going to be able to take out this tower.
So clean by Virtuoso. Just saving the entirety of his team from a possible Meganar engage, and even expended the teleport afterwards. They saved the mid lane tower. BlueWhites expended so many teleports and so many resources and got nothing out of it. They may even lose Yones here.
Oh, once again, the Kindred being caught out, doesn't have the ultimate and falls into the grave. Cassante just a little bit too strong at this point. Despite the lack of magic resist, seems basically immune to everything that Pomo's trying to do, and goes in once again. The curtain called, and it's curtains for Pomo as he just becomes Virtuoso's killing spree. MKR burning down under the tower, and Veloxa is not too happy with the situation he finds himself in. Full rage, but nothing to do with it. An ace for 42 Gaming. Baron's on the cards.
Very extended fight, but so clean by 42, picking off member after member. And this is all on the back of Virtuoso showing up on the Cassante that he's so famous on. This is still a flip though. Jones is alive. They just need to get vision into the Baron Pit. 4.5k left.
Jones. He's got the Q, but he's not going to be able to get in. Pops the Lamb's Respite. The Baron held at 2,000. The Kindred has absolutely nothing to do. Beautifully played by 42 Gaming as it's a 22-minute Baron.
And remember game one. All it takes is one mistake for 42 to completely take over a game when they have the tools to play with. This is reminding me heavily of it. It took one catch out from Jones for the entire team to get aced, then give out the Baron, and then give out 2 more kills. 6k ahead now, and 42 are looking to take down the inner towers. They are free to do pretty much whatever they want due to the fact that Virtuoso is basically unkillable on the front line.
BlueWhites must be having propane nightmares as this series has swung like a pendulum in favor of 42. The Finnish squad fighting back, but in game 3, 42 reassert themselves and are in prime position to push themselves towards a match point. This Baron shouldn't end the game unless something completely ridiculous occurs. Just about increasing that gold value, just about making you even stronger for the next time that you fight the BlueWhites. But if you get an ace here, why not just go for it? Balmeath gets caught out though and is slain by Pomo for the first kill of the engagement.
JJ?
Yeah, okay, bro. BlueWhites still chasing. With Yones and the Realm Warp gonna come through to continue the engagement. This game was starting to fall away from the BlueWhites, but they are not out of it just yet. Virtuoso going forward to try and be that bodyguard for his team, but he is not tanky enough. JJ thrown back and Yones with another kill. BlueWhites, they are still down pretty damn significantly, but they've shown the combat power of this composition, and they've shown the fight in their squad.
They just find a miracle catch. Balmeath was a little bit too far up when they were sieging down the tower. Chrissy getting CC'd by Eggheads. Pomo is nearby, but I don't think if he doesn't want to expend the flash here.
And BlueWhites actually with a flank here from Veloxa. They've been able to catch out Balmeath, and it seems that when you get one kill on a jungler, they have to just go and give you a second, as in as many minutes, Balmeath falls down, and again, BlueWhites, they find this catch, they keep their hopes alive, but 42 still in the advantage position. 20 seconds until that dragon spawns a soul point if BlueWhites can pick it up, but they are in no shape to do that just yet.
It feels like 42 is off tempo. They're off beat at the moment, and they just need to regroup once to get their bearings back. BlueWhites is punishing them for the mistakes that they did down on the bot side of the map while they were sieging, and while they remain coordinated, 42 now with 3 members are trying to defend, while Balmeath is still just running back from base. Another TP fight coming.
Veloxa going for the flank here, but the rest of his team isn't really there. He's going to pop into Mega. No, just dies! To quote a famous caster, that TP sucked, and 42 Gaming will take advantage of it as much as they can. Getting a little bit of a shove in the mid lane without the Baron. The pushing power is not as much as they'd like, but they're able to get Dragon at number 2, and hey, maybe the Hextech Soul is something in their future.
And the Hextech Dragons themselves are also, I feel like they give ability haste, which characters like Lilia kind of enjoy. It's not bad by any means. And I think we're heading for a long one. Neither team is able to secure a position for themselves where they get a winning condition on the table. The fights are going back and forth when it looked like 42 is able to get away with the game, with the Baron take, with the huge gold advantage that they had. Small mistakes turn the game around. Then BlueWhites have control. And while the TP play was there, it got spotted out. Veloxa dies without even getting the Mega. And now 42 have regrouped, and BlueWhites are back. It's just about getting the clean plays, and this is not one of them.
Oh. Roots being traded there as MKR needs to cancel the ult prematurely. Pomo having to flash away, still getting hit by the shots from the curtain call. White's backing away. Vlogs are potentially going to get caught out here once again, attempting to flank. Falls asleep. Will get the Mega this time around, but it doesn't improve his life expectancy one bit. 42 Gaming with double the kills. The not insignificant gold lead with a man advantage look to take down this mid lane tower.
I respect the attempt, but 42 doesn't. They are looking to crack the base, and all they need is one good Jhin route, and Virtuoso will be going in.
Oh, but how about a Rise route on Virtuoso? Yone's able to keep himself alive there with the Lambs at respite as the Monsoon does something similar for the members of 42. Snipes are just burning down on the back line. Valmeef able to kill the enemy jungler, and 42 not quite able to take the inhib tower, but look for a re-engage as BlueWhite step to get the wave. Deep TP, but JJ just dies. MKR will fall down in trade as Pomo is now going to be the focus, rooted by the Jhin. In goes Egets. Look at the damage from the Rise. He's just not dying. Everyone else is, though. A quadra kill for Pomo in a moment that may just save the game for BlueWhites.
They all ran into the choke point against the Rise. That's 700 damage Qs raining onto your entire team, of which nobody has itemized for magic resistance. They got annihilated just running at the caught out mid lane of BlueWhites, and now with the off-tempo deaths, this is a Baron call, and possibly even an easy one for BlueWhites as JJ only just now respawning, and there's only a Janna. This isn't Bloodwater. You're not gonna steal that with a level 1 Q.
You say that.
Yeah, I am saying that. I am saying that.
680 HP, it was damn close. BlueWhites, this team just refuses to give up. They slugged their way through the NLC split, despite how difficult every single game was for them. And based on game one, you'd have thought this series had just been over. They come back in game two. With the way that this game was going, you felt certain that 42 Gaming were able to take it over the line, but BlueWhites, is it Sisu? Is that what they've shown here, Carvis?
This does seem like Sisu. This is the Finnish tried and true, where you fight against adversity, and with the Baron buff, you are now the adversary, where 42 need to find something here, and whether that be a good sleep, whether that be a fate seal, they need to catch BlueWhites out.
Minute to go until the Dragon spawns. Soul point for both of these teams if they can pick it up. But BlueWhites with the Baron, they choose to assuage that and just look for and engage. Eget's going to get caught out. The Leona not tanky enough to survive this, but the fate sealed drags her away. The Lamb's respite right on the edge, keeping the Leona alive. So many engage tools burnt there by both teams, really, with the Solar Flare being down, but no Lilting Lullaby, no fate sealed for 42 Gaming. Means that their dive threat is a lot less significant, and BlueWhites find themselves in the river.
Rexhat using the ARAM Monsoon to heal up the squad. They need to establish the Dragon control, because in 10 seconds, BlueWhites are looking to secure the Soul Point, but it's just so difficult to push against. Gets the target once again.
He's on his lonesome, but pretty damn tanky here as Pomo is just able to rain damage onto everybody else. Valmeef, JJ chunk out. We've seen this story before as Yones turns his attention towards the Dragon, and BlueWhites turn their attention towards Virtuoso as the K'Sante, with nowhere to go, locked down, locked out in the dirt. Mid lane priority pushing with the Baron. They've still got 30 seconds left on this, and with Eget interrupting the recalls, BlueWhites could get a hell of a lot here.
JJ going back into the Gnaw as well. 42 are just completely separated. Mid lane inhibitor falling down. JJ's gone.
And the game that was in the bag for 42 has fallen out, and BlueWhites have picked it up. It's 20 seconds. 20 seconds until the Cassante is going to be hit. Another lockdown. The Solar Flare committed. Yone's with the kill, and BlueWhites have done it in game 3 after a disastrous start. After dire straight through the mid game, they somehow come back to put themselves to match points.
What did we just watch? Okay, let's get this clear. Out of all our games today, this was not the cleanest one. By any means, for either team. But in this scrap fiesta, after people get caught, after catch, after missed opportunity, after a teleport, after a Cassante quadra kill into Rice quadra kill into everyone dying one after another, BlueWhites came out ahead due to the fact that they kept their head calm. And in this entire series, I think that has been the key.
Yeah.
Whoever makes the least mistakes seems to come out ahead.
Well, I remember going into Champion Select and saying that we haven't really seen any player 1v9 in a game just yet. I think Pomo proves that he's exactly the sort of guy that can do that. We're going to be popping to a short break before we see if BlueWhites can close out this series or if 42 Gaming could take us all the way to a Game 5. You don't want to miss it. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the NLC Div 1 promotion, where 42 Gaming, where BlueWhites were able to get a win in Game 3 to push themselves to a match point. I'm not going to lie, Carvis, it didn't look like the likely outcome in that game for a very long time, but the Finnish squad show their heart and show their unwillingness to give up in the face of adversity and find themselves just one Nexus explosion away from a rematch against Rich Gang to reclaim their spot in the NLC Division 1.
Yeah, the rug is starting to escape from the under of 42's feet. And yeah, I think the rise was the key thing in that previous game. It just, as you said, we haven't seen too many 1 versus 9 performances. We almost saw 2. Virtuoso and Pomo completely took over the games, but the rise just fit the composition and played into the enemy composition so well. It was difficult to play against, and if you ever started to rush towards it, the AoE queues were just too much for the HP pools of a very squishy 42 composition. And I think it's a very simple fix, thankfully, for the 42 team. Just don't blind pick Yone. They got away with it once. The core key did not work out. BlueWhites adapted, figured out the rise, and now they need to make sure that the rise is either banned or they know what matchup it's heading into.
Yeah, and I think we can talk about Pomo having an impressive game in isolation in Game 3, but placed in the context of what Game 1 looked like for him, it's an incredible amount of mental resilience to have a game like that and just be able to shake it off, improve through Game 2, and then come out in Game 3 looking even stronger. This really puts the pressure on 42 Gaming, because you turn this back around. You had that slip up in Game 2 and you'd managed to get back into the series, only for it to slip out of your hands once again. And like we said, it's a long time until the next opportunity to play in a tournament like this, so you really have to throw everything on the line right now, because lose this one and that's it.
Yeah, and we see that they are throwing everything on the line, because they have opted to go red side this time for the first time in this entire series. So 42 looking for the counter picks this time around, trying to respond to whatever BlueWhites are doing. And this is also, I think, very important for JJ, where he has been mostly blind picking his matchups. Of course, again, I want to emphasize, JJ has not played badly outside of 2 or 3 isolated instances. The Smolder game especially, I think he played wonderfully well.
Yeah.
It's just that the team around him has not really, outside of Game 1, fit the composition. In Game 3, he didn't fit what against what BlueWhites were doing due to the counter picks and just the way that they played. In Game 2, the Smolder didn't have enough front line to play with. And, well, Game 1, we saw what happened in Game 1.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm going back to that Janna pick now. I'm thinking, actually, hold on, was that the most efficient pick that could have been slotted in there? I don't think that Rexap played badly by any means, but you're limited by the kit of the champion that you're playing, and I think that if there was maybe a little bit more CC that could go on to Pomo, where he isn't able to survive these fights and just pump out the damage, we could be looking at a 42 victory in that game. We could be looking at 42 on match point, but it's not the place that we find ourselves.
Just as I said, Janna's really good at going backwards. 42 did not want to go backwards. We saw what happened when they were going backwards, and it did not look pretty. And also, 42 is really good at going forwards. Like, really good. We already know that. So, now you get the red side. You're getting good lane matchups, almost guaranteed to at least 2 lanes. And make sure that you keep the aggression up and don't fall apart if things go haywire. Keep the confidence up and show us that you are the 42 that we've seen previously against Fourth Wall, where they are decisive. Even in the Game 1, they were super decisive and clean with their plays. And I think that's what has been lacking here in Game 3, where BlueWhites managed to make that comeback win.
Yeah, I think that the main thing that has been the differentiator, maybe not the main thing, but it's certainly an important aspect, has been the play around objectives. I think that BlueWhites had incredible dragon control in that second game, and it always felt like they were either first into the river or they just weren't contesting the dragon. I think there was one point where 42 was able to successfully push them back and fight them away, but really in those objective plays, Baron especially, I think, there has just been that little bit of an edge for BlueWhites, at least in my opinion.
And who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? The BlueWhites doing good macro plays against 42, who, like, again, those people who watched the 42 series against Fourth Wall, it kind of reminds me of this series, except that 42 were on BlueWhites' spot. They were the ones who were behind early on and then started to make those comeback victories. So they know what it feels like. And usually in these long series, we see the games either get cleaner and cleaner or more chaotic and more chaotic. I think we're in for the latter.
Oh, I hope so. As much as I enjoyed the caginess and the tension that that game had at its points, a lot less fist fighting than I'm used to. A lot less blood. And certainly something I love to bathe in when it comes to League of Legends. I think for BlueWhites, though, this... I just said League of Legends. I love a good bloodbath, bro. Like, come on. That's fine. Okay.
I was trying to think of a Vladimir joke, but I couldn't think of it.
I don't know. Maybe if we pulled our efforts, we could come up with something. That's kind of cheating because he just says that like anyway as a voice line, so I can't say that one really in good faith. For BlueWhites though, like I think this is feeling a little bit like redemption for them. So often through the NLC Div 1 split, we were saying about this team, it's like that first win is going to come, and it did eventually come, and this is a team that has potential and can do things. And I think that an organisation like this, a fan base like this, deserves a little bit of representation in Div 1. Such a passionate community coming out of Finland that I think it would be a real shame to lose. But ultimately, the only reason that you can be in the NLC, the only way that you get to play in the NLC is if you deserve to be there. And if you don't win the games, and if you don't win the series, then you haven't earned that right. We are jumping into Champion Select for potentially the last time today. BlueWhites on the blue side, 42 selecting red. Team swapping sides for the first time this series.
And Pyke already banned out. This has usually been a second rotation ban for BlueWhites, so something is going to change here.
Have to see what that is.
I think I know what is going to change here. Never mind. I'm not. So Varus is most likely going to be left open by BlueWhites. 42 needs to adapt. They've been banning out the Senna, and I'm blanking on the last one. Zyra, I think, has been the last one. So either they leave the Varus open for MKR to play with and counterpick it with something like Misfortune, or they ban the Varus here and let Jones play the Zyra.
I was a little bit hoping there that BlueWhites were gonna go for a first pick Aurora there, but with that looking like a misban, does confirm that the Aura has been taken off the board, so we're not going to be able to see her this time around. Is the Lilia actually removed? So the Zyra available for Jonas if he wants to go towards it. The Varus here as well for BlueWhites, picking that up, likely going into the hands of MKR.
Let's see if I'm a drafting god and what I say goes. I'm not 100% confident if Chrissy wants to play Misfortune. Usually he's more of a utility style player with Jhin or Kai'Sa or something like that. This is a flex pick. We're not going to say anything just yet. Israel can go into either role, but it does do well enough into the Varus. Going Renekton this early on, though. This is interesting considering 42... Oh, it's because JJ also plays this.
It's the double flex. It's the double flex. I actually really like this. You're not revealing too much. I think Ezreal and Renekton, both champions that can be slotted into multiple compositions, and since we haven't really decided on a lane for them either, it leaves BlueWhites a little bit in the dark. Zyra picked up for Jonas. I think that's something that we expected to come out here, and you'd traditionally be looking at a support pick on this rotation, but we are seeing some pretty bug hovers.
Could it be? Could it be? No!
Oh,
No! No! Give us the
Oh,
Garen! No! I am...
We're
oh,
doing so well. We're doing so well.
I am extremely disappointed and my day is ruined. Anyway, second ban phase. To follow.
No, come on. No, Carvis, let's do our jobs. Let's have a look at this. BlueWhites, what I'm seeing here, big wombo team fight. You've got so many ultimates here that are used to not just CC, but more specifically control space. And we were saying that BlueWhites' objectives have been pretty much their bread and butter so far in this series. That just makes it even harder for 42 to contest in those situations.
Although I do like what 42 is doing as well. They are going for the aggressive game plan. They have champions that can establish lane priority in the Renekton and the Ezreal in case it goes into the solo lane. A little bit more difficult on the bot side, but in case of a good matchup, can work as well. And the Xin Zhao, super aggressive, very bomby champion, kind of like the Jarvan, but provides a little bit more of that team fight utility you wish for.
Yeah, also, if you get on top of the Zyra, you do just kill her. Bit of a weird matchup, where if Zyra is able to keep the Xin Zhao at range, does very, very well. But as soon as the Xin Zhao's on top of her, very, very difficult for her to actually do anything to get rid of him. So I think that jungle interaction is going to be very, very interesting if we ever see these two in 1v1 situations. 42 here, banning out a couple of supports, trying to deny engage options from Eget, whereas BlueWhites focusing their attention a little bit more towards the mid lane with that Orianna off the board.
Leaving the Leona up is interesting, though. I think Leona is considered the strongest out of the three, of Nautilus, Rel, and Leona. They're gonna ban it away, so no more super strong engage supports. If 42 don't pick the Alistar away here, I think BlueWhites might just lock it in.
Carvis, have we considered that potentially BlueWhites have already locked in their support?
That is something that Eggets would do.
I mean, also, it's very Eggheads. It is very Eggheads. And I think, considering the performance that Veloxa had on the Aatrox, it's definitely something that we need to think about. Nami, not a champion that we really see at all, at any level, locked in here for 42 Gaming. Rexet wasn't able to get it done on an Enchanter last game, hoping for a little bit of a different result this time around.
Nami is very interesting. Not sure what they're looking for, because this Karma could even go into the mid lane. This is something that Pommel has played before and does quite well into whether it be the Renekton or... Karma's just a good negator overall. If you try to go for something aggressive, having the Karma in your back pocket just means that you have those extra shields and you have something that can lane well against anyone, except that that's the support and we are... where is it? Where is it?
Where's the hat gone?
Where's the hat? Lima, Skurlima, we are 0 and 3 with the Corki, but we are still locking it in. We are off.
It'll work eventually. I swear, bro.
Surely.
Bro, eventually the wins will trickle down. I swear, bro. Bro, just trust us. Final lock-in here for 42 Gaming. Gonna be that Smolder for JJ. I think we both really, really like that when they played it earlier on this series. So no surprise to see that again. And it is gonna be Veloxa on the Ornna champion that he's not very familiar with. So we'll have to see how that works out this game.
I think the most interesting part of this game is Ezreal Nami.
Yeah.
Nami, one of the champions that is infamous for being good with a certain couple of champions that are called Lucian and Brand. Rarely seen with any others. I think at some point Jhin Nami was also like decently popular, but Ezreal?
I'm not going to lie, conceptually I don't hate it. I think that Ezreal does have a fair bit of early damage with the press, the attack, and Nami is very good with like a lot of those ADCs that do have a fair bit of agency, where she can kind of just give them everything and go, hey, kill them with my help. Does worry me going up against Varus Karma though, because I feel like that is a duo that can kind of keep you at arm's reach in a lot of situations and has a fair bit of damage themselves early on.
Honestly, the more that I look at these compositions, I think this might be the cleanest game of League of Legends we're going to see today. There is not a lot of shenanigans that either one of these teams can do with the compositions that they've drafted. Sure, you may have like occasional skirmishes when it comes to the early game, but both teams really need level 6. And the only lane that I see anything scrappy going on is the bot side of the map, where you can go in with the Karma Varus to zone out the Ezreal Nami, and if they dodge the abilities, Ezreal hops in and bursts down anyone who dares to approach. That's where something can happen. Top lane, mid lane, also like, sure they'll poke each other out, but I don't think kills will be happening unless something major happens. And other than the bot lane, as you said previously, jungle matchup. Jones is avoiding Bomb this game like the plague. Does not want to see Xin Zhao anywhere near him or his caps.
Yeah, but if he's able to do that successfully, you end up with an incredibly farmed Zyra just kind of taking over the game, right? We look towards stuff like the Void Grubs, incredibly quick at taking that and providing a lot of that value in the team fights as well. I do just want to home in a little bit more on this bot lane. I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think a key aspect of this is going to be a lot of that lane pressure and that lane priority. If I look at which one of these duos is able to get the shove more easily, I'm instantly going towards that Varus Karma, right? Karma just presses R, presses Q, and basically the entire wave dies, and all the Varus has to do is press Q once to pick up the CS. And that means that when we're looking towards things like jungle fights, things like early dragons, we are expecting a little bit more priority on the side of BlueWhites.
Yeah, and being on the blue side, you can go for the invade as well as we head into the 4th game of the day.
Welcome to
And
Summer's
very possibly the last. At least BlueWhites will be hoping it is.
Believe in the boys a little bit. Believe in 42. They've shown us good games. Can't go calling it like that just yet. Although Chrissy in a bit of a bad spot, possibly. Will get spotted out. Did they have a sweeper? Did they see the ward? I don't think they saw the ward.
Don't think they did, no.
So, but yeah.
Too crazy here at the level ones. I do like that 42 has just gone for this 5-point start. Very much concerned with negating and preventing BlueWhites from getting a cheap early lead. When you're down in a series, it's kind of the position that you have to take, right? If MKR, if Yones picks up just a little bit of early gold, that can be very, very impactful for the rest of the game state.
And when you consider how the previous games have started out for 42, I think they've given out first blood 3 out of 3 games in a row, where 2 of them came from early invades. This is definitely something that you want to go towards later on in the series, where it feels like BlueWhites are the more confident team when it comes to these early level plays. Instead, 42 chooses to play it safe and look for things that they know they are good at. That should be the mid-game scrap fest with the Renekton with the Zinja.
So I do just want to ask you something, Garvis. I noted that the Zyra is obviously going to be very good at taking down those grubs, but in the context of the solo lanes that sort of surround those grubs, is he going to have a bit more of a difficult time, Yones, moving in and actually securing that objective?
When it comes to the top lane, absolutely. Volux is not going to be holding priority anytime soon. The Renekton is going to be just hammering down as much damage as he can and trying to keep Volux at bay, and even trying to maybe secure a kill if he mispositions and takes a hard all-in. While the Zyra may even choose to ignore the grubs until they get some sort of play going somewhere on the map, instead choosing to play towards that dragon and around the strong bot lane matchup.
Yeah, and sort of like we're anticipating, a lot of the shove early on generated by Agets and MKR. I will say though, this combination between the Mystic shots and then the Nami can provide a fair chunk of early damage if you get hit by too many of those. I'm interested that MKR has gone towards this longsword start, so really trying to accelerate himself towards itemization as soon as possible.
Not only that, it gives you the additional health potions. You're going to be eating a ton of poke, you're going to be trading a ton in this lane, so they have the HP advantage going into this. As you already see, Christian Rex have been forced to pop some potions, and so has MKR, but he's still fairly healthy in the lane.
Blocks are here with a little bit of shove. He's found himself in a potentially rough situation. Virtuoso healing up a bunch. They're flashing away from the searing charge, and Balmeef able to pick up the first blood for 42 Gaming. Exactly what they needed.
Beautiful setup by Virtuoso. Getting the shove into the lane gets the slow push going. Volxa is forced to overextend, even though there was quite a bad trade that he took in the minion wave. It baits the on enough that Balmeef is able to come in and secure the kill for a first blood. And first one of the series for 42 is gonna up the morale a little bit and make sure that the jungler of 42 is set up for a nice game, can move the advantage across the map and be the menace that Xin Zhao is in the backline.
I suppose this is always the name of the game when you are playing against one of these AP heavy farm focused junglers. It's try and make your presence known as early and as often as possible. So Jonas, he may come out of that jungle with a 20 CS lead at some point in the near future, but if all of his lanes are behind, then that really becomes a hell of a lot less useful.
The BlueWhites bot lane is in a awkward position here. They are a bit out of mana, and with the Xin Zhao there, sure they have the ward to watch if he ever tries to regank, but as long as Chrissy and Rexet can keep this frozen, they should be in a nice position to hold this up and just get the Sheen, Spike, and the Tier for the Ezreal, where they can actually start actually trade against the BO5.
Yeah, it does look like MKR is just about able to get that wave in, and so hit that reset button is going to return to the lane with a Dirk, a Tier, and a refillable pot. This is pretty much the perfect back for the Varus at this point.
Balmeef is he's kind of lost. While that bot lane play was going on, Jones went and stole his Raptors. He has nothing on the map to take, and he's on the wrong side of his Krugs. So now he's either forced to take an awkward recall or try and force something to happen, but he has no information where Jones is, so that's a really awkward recall, gets only a single longsword, and now his jungle camp timers are staggered.
Yeah, we're already starting to see a little bit of that discrepancy in the farm department come to the fore. We've got the Dragon on the Rift, we've got the Void Grubs as well. Jonas currently on the bottom side, could potentially look for a start on that Dragon, whereas Balmeef is immediately making a beeline towards those Grubs.
And this should be a objective trade. Chrissy and Rexet, as I said, can't really get priority against the Varus Karma. And Zyra, of course, once she hits the level 6, those empowered plants hurt like heck. Not really in a position to fight against just yet, and they don't really even need to rotate anyone. Even Bomber is just keeping lane priority, trying to poke down JJ as much as it can.
Yeah, and so both teams really playing to the side that we would have expected based on the champion selects, and obviously that's going to benefit 42 in terms of their ability to take towers, and I'm intrigued to see how much Virtuoso can actually get done with this, because obviously the Renekton already proxying the wave. If he can get a couple of those tower plates, if he can knock that down and rotate to join the rest of his squad, then the Renekton is going to do absolute work. There's no one that could really stand in his way out of Jonas, Pomo, MKR, and Eggets.
It's... What is going on? Oh, MKR misses the ultimate.
Yeah, he's still winning out in terms of the damage. Chrissy, though, definitely no slouch, giving as good as he gets despite being a level down. JJ kind of been playing a little bit under his tower for the last couple of minutes. But the game on the Smolder, same as it always with. Survive the early game, maybe get a little bit of damage down if you can pair up with your jungler, but get to that point where you got 2-2-5 stacks and you just execute people.
Yeah, the reason why I zoned out earlier is I was wondering what the play exactly was on that top side of the map, as Balmeef hovered on the blue buff for quite some time and never really took it. Now Jones is on another full clear, and after the Zyra has escaped this early game scot-free, you can start to match Balmeef a little bit, just start hovering wherever the Xin Zhao is going to show up, and I think BlueWhites may be stronger when it comes to those skirmishes for the time being.
The Locks are in a really rough spot here. Doing pretty alright in terms of the HP department, but low on mana, and without that teleport means that Virtuoso pretty much has the run of top lane as it stands. Already built up a CS lead over his opponent and can just wail on the tower, take plates in his face should he wish to. Bjorn obviously going to have that utility when it comes to the team fights. Obviously doesn't need to have massive amounts of gold to be useful, but still, you'd much rather be even on CS with your lane opponent than down about 5 waves.
Owen has the thing that I like to call the Lulu syndrome. You can be down 8 billion gold and you're still useful. It's just, the character's kit is that good. You can, similar to how Lulu can always polymorph and ult someone for that additional CC, give attack speed, shield, everything. Ornn can knock people up twice and provide some additional disruption and be just a meatball in the front line. Sure, Virtuoso has the Eclipse, has the insane lane priority, has a ton of gold, but he needs to make something happen with it, and that's not really... it's not happening yet.
Oh, yeah, not very fun there for Balmy if he gets a little bit of a taste of what it's like if you don't get on top of the Zyra immediately. And Carvis, I'm not going to lie, I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with you. You told me that this game was going to be even more chaotic, even more action-packed than previous games, and 1 kill at 10 minutes is not really giving that right now.
I said I had a feeling. Feelings can be wrong. I feel sad, I feel betrayed
by MKR. That's just a solo kill in the bot lane. Off our screen there, low amounts of HP on MKR, but a little bit more than his opposite number, and this is going to be big for BlueWhites. He's going to be able to shove that wave all the way in. Balmy flashing forward on top of gets the Stranglethorns, preventing him from getting the finishing blow, as he has to pop the Crescent Guard to stay alive.
Still under pressure, almost shooting rockets at him, will be retreating into his own jungle, but this is a horrible timing for the jungler to be this low as the grubs have spawned. They will be traded 3-3, so nobody will be getting the additional tower push. And again, when you think about the scaling, one of these teams has Renekton Xinjiao Nami.
The other one doesn't.
The other one doesn't. And that could be a major difference going into the later stage of the game. 42 wants to play aggressive, and when you get the Elder Spike from JJ, try to finish the game with that massive power spike that your entire team has about, let's say, 24 minutes into the game. Without the grubs, though, taking down the towers is going to be way more difficult. You don't have that many ranged auto attackers that can properly hit towers. Sure, you can poke with the Smolder, with the Ezreal, but actually hitting the towers is forces a committal from at least a couple of members from 42.
He gets going very aggressive here as Chrissy is low, but the Karma is a little bit lower. Gonna get hit by that bubble and somehow not dying just yet. Balmy able to pick up the kill, but here comes a teleport from Pomo. The Corki on the flank, looking to pick up a kill onto the Xin Zhao. Not quite going to be successful. Finally gets it, but it's traded himself by Virtuoso, making his way down from the top side of Summoner's Rift to pick up a kill for his team.
Oh, the ultimate!
It's just that easy. It's just that easy for Chrissy. 42 refusing to go down in Game 4, as even the observers getting excited by that ultimate, and starting to pull away in this early game just a little bit.
And killing MKR there is huge because they can deny resources from the Varus. Sure, he has the first time completed already, but the Muramana is again similar to Ezreal, where the Varus starts to actually hurt with the arrows. And the longer they can keep MKR down, the more time they have to play around this bot side objective of the dragon and even try to pick off some of these towers if they have the chance to. Due to the Varus, again, being separated from the team, BlueWhites cannot commit to this dragon or they'll get engaged up.
Oh, they had a feeling that someone was in the bush, and they'd be correct in that assumption. Rexat chunked down. Pomo forcing a flash out of the enemy Nami, and that's enough to secure BlueWhites all the position they need to take away the second dragon of the game.
it feels like 42 had such a good position there, but the not having the tank support really, like, it's almost like an inhibitor where they
JJ.
can.
Flashing away. Falling down to Pomo. Balmy potentially going to be looking to pick up something. Forge Gold going to be called. Knock up going to come through. And Balmy drops for a double in favor of Pomo. 42's throw a punch. BlueWhites throw one right back.
And I'm not really sure what's happening here. 42 are falling apart. Look at the bot side.
What is going on? Egetz is just fighting Chrissy and Rexat between two towers. Virtuoso was able to get first turret blood in the top lane, extend his individual gold lead by 2,000, but 42 hardly looking rosy on the rest of the map.
And both flashes were burnt there. Jones tried to get the catch route over the wall, but didn't find his target. But as I was about to say, not having the engaged tank support on the side of 42 as you're playing towards the dragon area and trying to defend these objectives really inhibits their playmaking. They can't really commit to stuff as Balmy going for the Eclipse. If he doesn't catch someone out, will get blown up similar to the Jarvan in the series earlier on.
2-2-1. It's a mediocre scoreline, I guess, but not as much as maybe we'd like from Balmeath as Yone's now with that. Leandri's completed. The Zyra starting to come online and looking for a catch here. Rexat just caught and nothing that he can do. MKR with his second kill of the game, and BlueWhites throwing another punch. Herald going to be started up as Yone's looking to take down that objective and help out his team. Balmy though rotating over, potentially looking for a fight in the mid lane. MKR and Egetz both a little bit low. Beautiful dodge there from MKR as they lock down the Xin Zhao. Egetz low but not dead just yet. The flash for the attempted reposition on the Q. Balmy gets the kill regardless. Ends up being a 2-for-1 in favor of 42 Gaming. Now we're starting to see a little bit more chaos. Now we're starting to see a little bit more action in game 4.
Where is Ezreal? Chrissy's in no man's land. He is on the flank as the fight in mid lane keeps on giving. And the fact that Virtuoso got there is what lets 42 play like this. Sure, we may need to check MKR's PC after this, but they still got the kills that they needed. 42 is starting to wake up and realize that, okay, we are heading into the mid game. This is where we get the double Trinity Force Spike. We have double Eclipse. We need to start killing enemies before they get their second items, because this Corki and Barrios will be hurting like heck. Also, Jones, as you mentioned earlier on in draft, will be kind of hard to approach if you don't catch him out. The plants will be denying Balmy from Virtuoso the straight on engages without a plank because, well, the slowing plants slow. Like, what is it? Stacking 30% so you get hit
too
twice?
much.
It's too much.
way too much. BlueWhites heading towards this Rift Herald, which is likely going to be used fairly soon to knock down that mid lane tower. JJ able to take out the bottom tier 1. And 42 Gaming investing a fair bit of vision in the bottom side. They recognize that we've got a dragon spawning in a minute's time. They know that's going to be sole point, and they are determined to not give that over to BlueWhites.
Look at the visual line. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. The entire bot side jungle of BlueWhites is just... You can't approach from there. You will get caught out. Virtuoso as well, nicely backing off. A minute till the dragon will let everyone get a reset who needs it. Especially with the teleports from Boloxa and Polo coming up soon. I don't think JJ's will be in time, so he's kind of stuck clearing the bot side. But 42 has such a strong position. I'm not sure if BlueWhites will even try to contest this.
That's a load of damage from Chrissy. Pomo regretting instantly stepping into his own jungle, but I do think we need to be keeping our eyes on that man Virtuoso. 2 items on the Renekton. Has had an exceptional laning phase, but now it's about team fighting on the Renekton. oftentimes a much more difficult task. Herald going to be summoned in the mid lane. 10 seconds until the dragon spawns. BlueWhites looking to take down this tower and generate some priority for themselves.
Will be getting it. 42 is still looking for engage angle. Going in.
Oh, there goes Balmy, trying to get on top of Pomo, but not quite able to find the Corki. And now BlueWhites look for the re-engage. Double knock-up. The Jinjiao falling low. Stranglethorns connecting onto Chrissy. And the Ezreal has to flash, dash, jump away, but he still drops down. Virtuoso now burning the Ignite from Eggert secures the kill. And BlueWhites get the mid lane tower. They get a couple of kills and can back away to secure the dragon.
They can't reach BlueWhites. Sure, they get onto Pomo eventually, but you've already used everything. Nami ultimate guy, you've used Bomb's entire cooldowns. Virtuoso is able to finally lock down the Corki, but there's no follow-up. Everyone else is kiting backwards, away from the Ornn ultimate, away from the incoming skill shots. But Chrissy and JJ cannot participate in this sort of a fight. They need to not get caught out by their Zyra. It's such a good peeling tool. Even the Karma there, getting the Mantra Shield and Root onto the Xin Zhao as they were engaging, just lets BlueWhites play one of the cleaner team fights in this entire series.
20 minutes in, the game basically dead even in terms of gold, but in terms of the compositions, really starting to get to that point where expecting BlueWhites to take over.
Little caught. I've just realized.
Yes.
42 is full AD.
Oh dear.
Ornn is able to go full armor.
Oh dear.
This could be a problem very fast.
Yeah, well, Veloxy, you don't need all that much gold when you've only got to build one sort of item. And we're seeing the effectiveness that the Ornn can have in those team fights.
Virtuoso, I think he forced the flash at Veluxa down at the bot side of the map as this is going on.
That's a reasonable cooldown. But I'd much prefer to get that summoner spell off someone like Pomo, to get that off someone like Yone, who's one of these squishier damage dealers. Veloxa is just going to be absolutely fine to sit in the front line for as long as he possibly can and soak up all that damage. And let his 2 AD carries, let his Zyra do the work in the team fights.
And BlueWhites is... They're not in a hurry, I think. Like, they're still waiting for the second items on the Zyra and the Varus. That's when they want to start forcing fights. Well, in their own way, of course. The composition works like that, but... with 42 kind of tempered in their approach to this Baron area, they're forced to just clean up wave after wave, getting stacks on the JJ, sure, but the Ezreal's falling behind. Not having Muramana by 22 minutes feels awful for Chrissy.
Naru in a pretty significant hole thus far. I mean, he's fully stacked up the tier. It's just about getting enough gold to complete the item, and 42 having to fight that last team fight without those big spikes absolutely played a role in their demise in that situation.
Oh, second items. Guess what time it is? I mean, first, sure, Jonas has to finish his 14th full clear first, but eventually we will head to purple war.
Absolutely potential, and I mean, in terms of the DPS that BlueWhites have got against that objective, it's pretty obscene, is it not, Carvis?
It is. Leandri, Rylai, Zyra with all the plants, you have Corki, you have Varus. So much max HP damage. The only thing that's going well for 42 here is this a bot lane fight for Virtuoso, but with the second item finished on Veluxa, I don't think he cares anymore.
Oh, here comes the knockup, and yeah, the Renekton just kind of doesn't do anything against the Ord. Redemption keeping Veloxa topped up a little bit, but it does feel like we've gone beyond the point where the Renekton is just a guaranteed source of pressure. Rek'Sai needs to be very careful. Locked down and blown up. Slithers of HP on the Nami. MKR is absolutely lethal.
How many stacks do we have on JJ? Is it possible to get a check up? Because that's going to be critical when we head into this mid game.
We'll see if the observers can click on the Smolder and we can have a little bit of a look at that, because no, I agree with you. We talk about this team being full AD on the side of 42 Gaming. We always have to caveat that with a little bit of true damage coming out from that Smolder execute, and if you get someone low enough...
I wasn't fast enough. Speed test by the observers. Are you ready for the jump scare? We'll get one eventually, surely. Anyway, Trinity Force Murman are now finished on both. The Ezreal will start hurting at least a bit more against full-plated steel cap on the top side of the map for BlueWhites, though. You're gonna need a couple more Mystic shots.
Yeah, just a few. 20 seconds until the Infernal Drake spawns. And as we've seen so many times today, it is BlueWhites with the first move into the river. We've got 2 items on everyone on 42. We are capped as much as we can be at this point, but BlueWhites getting into the ascendancy. He gets just face checking, but flashes away to stay alive for a little bit longer. 42 though, they see the angle, they see the potential, they see the health bars dropping before them. Triple kill for JJ. Voloxa dead as well. And 42 are far from out of this series.
The answer to Smolder's stack situation is enough. Once again, there seems to be a theme this series, as that fight, while it looked good for BlueWhites, it's getting caught out like that and forcing BlueWhites to respond. 42 make the first move and instantly capitalize on it. JJ, level 15 on the Smolder with the 2 items and the Elder buff, melts the entire back line. And this is the 25-minute mark where the 42 composition is the strongest. They get the play, and now is their time to start closing out the game as fast as they can.
Crucially, grabbing that Drake is pushing back that Infernal Soul Timer as well. How many times have we looked at a situation in this series and gone, yep, it's just over. That's just the way it is. Both these teams showing just how important this match is, just how much they value every single fight and how much they don't want to lose.
But one thing I was correct about, Melka. This is the cleanest game so far. Not too many mistakes on either side, just team fighting magnificence from 42 in that Dragon play. Balmeath and Virtuoso are doing an excellent job being the front line here as they look for Voloxa.
You're not killing him.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm real sorry, guys. Mid lane tower falling down. MKL looking for picks onto JJ, but the Smolder just about dodging out. Seems like he's got more than enough damage for his team at this point. 3 items completed. Enough stacks to really take over a team fight. Level 16 as well. We've seen a 1v9 carry performance from Pomo already, and his opposite number is looking to do just the same.
The, JJ Smolder, we already saw it once, he's so clean on it. Sure, it's not the flashiest champion ever, but the positioning that JJ has and the way that he plays team fights, just watch him in the next team fight we see him in. Could be fairly soon as Voloxa and Jones are trying their best to clean up the waves as 42 want to siege down the mid lane tower. Virtuoso has TP as well, could be a fight over this tower.
I mean, potentially there is an angle here for Voloxa. Balmeath trying to interrupt any sort of engagement, tank up on the front line, but means he's kind of left to the wayside, hit by the piercing arrow, dashes to the plant and tries to get out just in time. Will eventually burn down as Virtuoso looking for the Zyra, but the redemption heal is so big. But it ends up being the Renekton dropping into the grave. 2-for-1 in favor of BlueWhites, and that's going to stop the push from 42 Gaming.
BlueWhites still need to deal with this Smolder who's just spamming abilities at them. They can't really reach him, and if you get hit, you lose half of your HP on a carry.
I'm not gonna lie, definitely something satisfying about seeing a lethality Varus chunked for half of his HP bar. But
well,
I'm not
there
sure
goes
that
another one.
MKR's going to feel the same way. 42 Gaming, they've stayed on the Rift. They are continuing the push. And BlueWhites are just trying to prevent them from crashing this way fully into the tower. The Baron will fall away. And 42 Gaming will back away. BlueWhites are going to have another shot at that Infernal Soul in a minute's time. But 42 Gaming will definitely feel emboldened by the events of the last few minutes.
JJ might just be too strong. Level 16 on the Smolder. By far the strongest player on the Rift. And with the rapid fire cannon, will outrange most of BlueWhites. Reminder, Corky Poke doesn't hurt that much anymore. It's not a factor JJ has to worry about. And I think the only way 42 could get, like, decimated in a fight is if MKR lands a full combo onto the Smolder. How likely that is after buying the Quicksilver Sash? Not very.
Not at all. Well, then we start looking at the knockups that Veloxa can provide on the Ornn. Maybe that's the angle. BlueWhites with a position around the dragon once again. This didn't go well for them last time around. And 42, just in the way that they're moving, so much more confident, willing to step just that little bit further, but Balmeef has been chunked incredibly low. Chrissy just getting one shot on the other side. Yones in the Zhonya's to stay alive for a little bit longer. First kill of the fight going for BlueWhites. Second going in favor of BlueWhites, and 42 Gaming have flown a little bit too close to the sun. And their wings are melting. It's all going to be on JJ. How much damage can he do? And Balmeef looking to get some sort of steal. The Xinjiao are so damn low without that ultimate, incredibly squishy. And 42 Gaming, they just have to give it up. It was a nice attempt at a contest around the dragon, and it's taken BlueWhites a little bit longer than they would have liked, but now they've got the Infernal Soul and that bonus combat power that will never fall off.
Infernal Soul. Lethality Varus. Let me repeat that. Infernal Soul. Lethality Varus is what 42 is fighting against from here on out. This could be very difficult unless JJ gets to play his game. Again, in that teamfight, feels like 42 uncoordinated, weren't sure what they want to do. They may get a repeat of it though, as Baron is coming up soon. This time the opponents may be a bit more powerful, but as long as Balmeef and Virtuoso provide the front line for JJ to approach and keep shooting the abilities, they should still have a fair chance at winning these fights.
And for 42, they know what's at stake here. They lose this Baron. Very likely that this will be the last time that we see them.
Already starting up the
attempt
Baron.
to get up to Div 1. They're starting it up. We did have a little bit of a look at BlueWhites moving in. Virtuoso slicing away, backwards, defensive. And 42, they simply can't compete with the range, with the damage that BlueWhites are throwing down. Baron resetting. Chrissy's throwing out the ult, tagging onto a couple of members. Veloxa half HP. That's the tank. That's the guy that needs to stand strong in the front line. But the big one from Pomo doing a fair bit of damage in trade. Redemption healing that up.
Look at MKR.
So cagey. It's so cagey. And yeah, MKR, he's just pushing down the mid lane. 42 Gaming, they need to respond. Otherwise, they're going to be losing multiple structures within their base.
Forcing the teleport of Virtuoso so they didn't lose out on the structures, but instead they lose control of the entire Baron area. Balmeef is still on the flank, looking for a possible fight. We get spotted out here, face checking into Yones Blast. This is on a nice edge. You cannot make a mistake at this point in the game.
How are your nerves?
I am holding my hand on my forehead as we speak. This is incredibly tense. But this is the problem that 42 is facing. While they do have decent enough range, if they start the objective up first, they're revealing their position and have to fight a front-to-back team fight where BlueWhites has decent peel and they're running into the Corky Varus combination. They want BlueWhites to come at them at a bad angle.
Oh, Balmy looking for an engage, and Loxa not really getting the best angle on the ultimate. Chrissy going for a 1v1 up against MKR and able to shut him down. Yonez dropping off the rift as well. And 42 Gaming, despite the Infernal Soul, find exactly the sort of fight they needed. BlueWhites not going to attempt to defend this tier 2 tower. They know that it's gone, and they know that 42 have got the numbers advantage. Without the wave, though, pushing is going to be a little bit difficult, but Baron on the rift, and 42 make their way towards it.
That might have been the most on-time caster curse I have ever said in my life. I'm trying to think. It's pretty good. Like, the angle was horrible.
I think BlueWhites are contesting. They've TP'd in.
What?
Despite Yonez, they're looking for something here. Veloxa going to be standing in front of them. This is a 3v5. Pomo having to go backwards. JJ level 18 with the execution potential. Just about takes out the Corki before he drops himself. He gets running away. Veloxa on the retreat as well. Balmy looking for a little bit more. Veloxa goes in. He's just going to get caught out here. A crucial mistake at a crucial juncture in this game. BlueWhites will find themselves without their solo laners for a decent chunk of time. And 42 still with 2 minutes left on this Baron buff. They can look to push.
I guess they saw that they have a Corki with 4 items and thought, yeah, we can do this. Fight me, bro. And spoiler, they couldn't. They lost 2 of their members. They also lost the Baron and handed over some additional gold. Sure, they got JJ. And that's probably the only reason why the game didn't end. But there's still a ton of Baron buffs available for 42 to play with. And JJ will be up with teleport in 10 seconds for that Baron power play. I'm not really sure what BlueWhites were looking for there, but again, thankfully these mistakes from both sides have been those that don't lose the game. We're going in for the long haul. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to the 40-minute mark unless one team tries to force something around this Elder Dragon area, and then the game ends.
Let's look at some flash cooldowns. Yonez has it, MKR has it, but Pomo without that summoner, JJ has the flash, and the poke from the Varus is absolutely absurd. Balmy getting chunked, and BlueWhites moving forward. JJ a little bit late to the engagement. Rexat is going to be falling down, but no one is focusing the Smolder. He's free to fire. Double knockup from Veloxa, buying as much time for his team as he can.
Is that it?
And he does exactly what he needs to. Pomo just looking for one auto onto Chrissy.
That's it!
Finds it! JJ's dead. BlueWhites find the fight in the mid lane. The death timers are 2 down long. They're going to look to end this game, end this series, push themselves to the rematch with Rich Gang.
JJ was out in his own blue side jungle. Rest of the team stuck in the mid lane. BlueWhites sends the mistake from 42. After all this fight, after such clean play, 42 falls apart at a critical moment.
BlueWhites say, let's go again, Rich Gang, and we'll fight them for a place in NLC Div 1.
After it was so tense for so long, and that is how the game ends. We have so many 5-on-5 fights. One time, JJ goes and clears the blue side jungle, and the game's over.
Insanity. And it was that range. It was that poke that 42 just, it didn't seem like they knew how to deal with it. Balmweef getting chunked low, multiple members getting chunked low, and BlueWhites able to clean up. Phenomenal job from Veloxa in that final team fight, just completely preventing Chrissy and JJ from finding any access into the main fight. And by the time that they were hitting against the Corki, they were already dead. Phenomenal from BlueWhites, setting up that rematch against the Rich Gang to re-qualify for the NLC Div 1.
And now they have the practice. They've already played them once. They played against 42. You couldn't ask for more if you're a BlueWhites and a Finnish person. If you want to see BlueWhites back in Division 1, this is the best chance I think they'll have to actually win the series against Rich Gang, because they looked bloody strong.
Yeah, and what a heartbreaker for 42 Gaming. An organization that has gone from strength to strength every single split. Game 3, it looked like it was theirs, and what a different series we would have had if they'd been able to hold their nerve to close out and secure the victory. But BlueWhites, they make that comeback. It was close in Game 4, but they just about get it over the line. And they're one series away from re-qualifying into the NLC, from reclaiming what they feel is rightfully theirs.
And it is, again, 42, what a run. It's the first time that their organization has made it this far. It pains me in my heart to see them go out like this, because, again, they genuinely played pretty well this series. Like, this wasn't, like, sure, it was a 3-1 win, but it didn't feel like it.
No, not at all.
It felt like a way closer series. It was back and forth, but I just feel like it was a stylistic mismatch when it comes down to it. The 5 players, what the players brought to the table, 42 just didn't match up well against BlueWhites.
And if that's the case on the Rift, this ends up being the result. Carvis, thank you so much for joining me on this cast today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Any closing remarks from yourself on what we've all got to witness today?
Suomi, 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 Suomi.
Oh, fantastic. You can catch BlueWhites in that rematch against the Rich Gang in the promotion final on the 16th, starting at 6 p.m. CST. And if this series is anything to go by, if the previous series between these two teams was anything to go by, it is going to be a phenomenal matchup. That's going to be it for us. Thank you so much to everyone here at the NLC, all the production staff for making this happen. Commiserations to 42 Gaming. Gave it their best shot, but it wasn't quite enough. Congratulations, BlueWhites. You've made it to the final where you need to be to get that spot back. And more importantly, most importantly, thank you all at home for watching, for experiencing this series alongside us. That's been Carvis. I've been Middlecott. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.